of this summit for really coming up with it. And already I would say it's successful. Thank you.
Thank you, Professor Wellman mentioning it, Red. I also want to introduce Deputy Minister Anthony Kilate Kuangba, and sorry, Anthony, if I don't get all the middle names correct. He's our Deputy Minister of State without portfolio, and he's the supervisor of the Liberian Diaspora Engagement Program. Honorable Kuangba, welcome to the Liberia Diaspora Summit.
I want to appreciate everybody for coming on this afternoon, this morning, wherever you find yourself on the globe. The Liberia Diaspora Engagement Program was endorsed in 2010. By 2015, the program was activated. But let me take this opportunity to recognize some very important individuals who started this process. Dr. Dr. Clarice Kula, Esther Baker, Representative Peter Riggs, our dear sister Asha, who lost her father. She's in Liberia, burying him, I think, today. Brother Tanya Tomo, Dr. Wilma, Arthur Wedo, and the list goes on and on. Rhoda, we've all played an important role in getting our students connected. So the diaspora program was activated in 2015. By 2017, a draft national policy on diaspora engagement was produced. By 2018-19, the policy was being vetted by Liberians in the diaspora, specifically leadership of different Liberian organizations in the diaspora. By 2020-21, our policy has now moved to the executive mansion for the president's endorsement. We are hoping, we're very confident based on discussions we are having that will soon happen. And so we're very proud to having you here today. The intent of this program from the get-go was to bring Liberians together to engage and encourage, especially Liberians in the diaspora, to come and contribute their expertise and knowledge to Liberia's development. So when we from the diaspora secretariat see this successful program today, it speaks volume about the level of work we're doing. I'm also very grateful to my immediate boss, Honorable Chopin, who has given me the space to be able to operate. I'm grateful to Matt. I'm grateful to my son, Benjamin David. I'm grateful to Mary Matthews and all those beautiful people who play a major role in this diaspora engagement program. So we are happy to have you here today. We're not going to take a lot of time. I know 10 minutes were allotted to me for this, but because we've already absorbed a lot of time setting up, I'm very humbled to have you all, Brother Dennis Shah. I'm thankful for giving us the platform the last time to share the awareness about this program today. So we're happy to our brother from the joining home to say thank you for being online with us. And to all the presenters today, I want to thank you for being part of this summit today. We're looking forward to more engagement with Liberians in the diaspora. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Minister. Thank you for those great words. And now we are going to move to talking about investing in Liberia. And we have Dave Billion from the National Investment Committee. Do we have Faye with us?
1 second, please.
Okay, my name is Sheldon Bonner. I'm from the National Investment Commission. Okay, again, I'm Sheldon Bonner from the National Investment Commission, from the Private Sector Development Partner, and I'm representing Mr. William, who is on leave today occasion seems to be a very interesting one. We, as part of the Diaspora Engagement Forum, also collaborate with the MOS on this program. Today we have a brief presentation which we chose to put forth to showcase what we have as it was sent. Today we all know what is unfolding in Liberia. Liberia being a country of vast opportunities for investment. Like we see, the first slide there talks about what is up for Liberia, what are some of the things that Liberia can do. So what we need is to invest, you grow, and you succeed. Liberia, all Liberia workers, as the president always say, that there are a lot of opportunities in Liberia that you can engage into as a Liberian or a foreign business person. The next slide. Like you see, over the time we have made progress. From 1989 up to 2003, we all know where we passed through. That was the dark era of civil war, 15 years of political instability, Like you see there, 3 consecutive democratic elections we all went through. We've had a democratic transition, which we never had for a period of time. And you see there, we've had a partial full liberalization sector to attract foreign investors. As you know, Liberia is part of the WTO now. And these are things that will encourage foreign business owners or foreign investors to come into our country. The legal framework is in place for smooth business environment now, as you're all aware. These are things that will make you to know that the investment climate of Liberia is suitable for any form of investment. Reason to invest in Liberia. The position of Liberia is well suited that any market in the Western region can access to make business. We have a low cost of labor, as we are aware, in Liberia. Our cost of labor is very cheap, and it makes any business to grow. A minimum restriction on repatriation of profits. You get profit as you invest because you don't have much to be paid as other countries. You have extra form of taxes. Liberia is a different place where whatever you invest, you'll be able to get it out within no time. Our tax regime is very, very soft, very understanding, based on how much you invest, is how much tax you pay. Have a political stability also. We are part of the international market. We guarantee against unfair expropriation, prohibition on or prohibition against discrimination. Liberia is also a part of a lot of treaties around, and these are things that will also make our market to grow, and it makes it easy for you to invest. First nation in Africa to promote deforestation. As you know, Liberia has a lot of treaties that have been signed, and based on this, Liberia is also ready to receive you as an investor or receive whoever that is coming. We have a large untapped natural resource base, and we have one of the heavy rainforests around the West African region, and Liberia is already set to make business. The next slide. The incentive regime. We have a lot to do with this because this is the place where our government or the people of Liberia are ready to do more business in terms of how we help investors to grow. The incentive regime says if you invest in Liberia from 500,000 to 9.9 million in the priority sector, when we say priority sector, those are sectors that we have them, the agriculture sector, we have also the manufacturing sector, educational sector. These are sectors that you are able to invest into, and the incentive regime will be able to help you in all that you do. If based on this, we can also provide you an environment that will make you to have a smooth operation, helping you in different sectors, in different form and manner to make you grow as a business person. So in the health sector, if you invest in 50,000, if you have 50,000 above investment, this is a place where government will help you in securing your business equipment coming to country. Government will help you in taxes to level your taxes into a way that you'll be able to start up and then make more business as you want to in Liberia. So 10 million above, these are ones that are above the regular limit. So these are ones that sent to the house for ratification. Now, in our agriculture, we have areas, as I said, that you can invest into. In the agriculture value chain, but in the agriculture area, we consume rice. Rice is consumed heavily in Liberia, and these are products that are consumed by our fellow West African countries. And you can also invest into rice. Cassava, as we spoke of, cassava is consumed all over West Africa. Even outside of West Africa, cassava is something that is more consumable in most of the countries we find around the world. So cassava is something also that you can invest into as an investment. Now, if you look at the rubber sector, it's something that is above our just localized using Liberia. It is produced more above other areas. Now, if we come to the agricultural sector, there are players that are in the sector, and these players are making things as they are here. So in all of that, we say within the other sector, as they are on the presentation, Liberia has a lot of opportunities for investment, and we are urging our colleagues outside there to invest more into Liberia. So with this, in the time being limited, I want to say thank you. Any questions? I have more resources to provide whenever you need. And we have a website also. I'm going to place the website along with the team so that you'll be able to access the website, the National Education Commission website. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Mr. P. William. And I see, I used to, my sister used to work there in the 80s. So when I go and pick my nieces up from Cathedral, pass through NIC, and then we walk down to Vietown Island to take the bus to Ghannasville. So, so I love hearing about NIC. And I love the last statement that says, Liberia is ripe for investment, and so we encourage all. Our next is go to a one-stop shop. Everybody loves one-stop shop. You don't want to be going around the place. So with this, we welcome Sensei D, Registrar General, Liberia Business Registry.
And thank you so much, and good afternoon to everyone. My name is Samson D. I'm the Registrar General of the Liberia Business Registry. Firstly, I'm pleased to extend my thanks and appreciation to the organizers of this forum, especially Honorable Kumba, the Acting Minister of State Work Portfolio, and his team, as well as the organizing committee of this very important summit. I was asked to speak on the topic, Liberia Business Registry, the one-stop shop for business registration. This is quite an interesting topic because the LBR is the gateway to the commerce of Liberia, and its role in the national economy is significant for the achievement of objectives of the PAPD, that is the Global Agenda for Prosperity and Development. Kindly permit me to begin with a brief overview of the history of the establishment of the LBR. The LBR was established in 2011 as the one-stop shop for enterprise formalization and business startup. The intent was to bring activities of different government ministries and agencies under one umbrella are responsible for enterprise formation and registration. As you may recall, prior to the establishment of the LBR, there was massive bureaucracy with the process of starting a business in Liberia. For example, prior to 2011, individuals or entities desirous of establishing a corporation was required to file articles of incorporation at the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, proceed through the Ministry of Finance to make payment of the filing fee, get the approved articles of incorporation, and then proceed to the Ministry of Commerce to begin the application process of acquiring a certificate of registration. This process significantly distorted the ease of doing business and discouraged to a greater extent the desire for entrepreneurship and compliance with the general business law of Liberia. Based on the difficulties and bureaucracy associated with business startup at the time, the need arose for the establishment of a functional government that will address these binding constraints. This led to the establishment of the LPR, where all of these activities are housed. I would like to give you a brief function of the LPR. As I said initially, the LPR was established solely to simplify enterprise formalization to ease the process of business startup. The LPR now approves all articles of incorporation of domestic resident corporations, limited liability companies, articles for authority to do business filed by foreign corporation, registered partnership and limited partnerships, sole proprietorship, non-for-profit organization, foundation, trust, all of them in accordance with the association laws of Liberia as amended in 2020 and the Business Corporation Act respectively. Additionally, the LPR processes articles of amendment for corporations and LLCs. We issue certificates of good standing and incumbency to companies. These will indicate that a company is in good standing with the government as far as corporate-related activities are concerned. Having informed you about the function of the LPR, let me give you just these key steps and the summary procedure for incorporation and registration of all forms of enterprises and not-for-profit organizations. So the first thing you need to do is, if you are interested in registering a business in Liberia, you must determine your business name and verify from the LPR whether the name exists. And we have that platform on our website on www.lbr.gov or proceed to the offices of the LPR. One thing we must also state that if the name of your business that you have determined is in existence, the business corporation law is very clear that we cannot proceed with accepting that particular name for registration. The second step is if you intend to register a business or to begin a business maybe in the next 6 months, but you have this name in mind, you have the opportunity to reserve your business name for 120 days. So after 120 days, if you don't come to formalize the registration process, then that name will be given out to another applicant. For resident domestic corporation, not-for-profit organization, LLC, applicant must file articles of incorporation or certificate of formation for review and approval by the LPR. So if you want to establish a corporation or a limited liability company or a not-for-profit organization, you must file an articles of incorporation at the LPR for review and for our approval. So to establish a subsidiary of a foreign corporation in Liberia, you must be able to file the foreign articles of incorporation of that company, wherever they exist with the LPR, and also prepare and submit local articles for authority to do business in Liberia. So you are going to submit 2 articles, the original articles of incorporation of the foreign corporation, and then you have to prepare an article for authority to do business locally. You also have to submit power of attorney or board resolution as evidence of appointment if you are selecting a country representative. So, for example, if Mr. Samson D is representing Chevron in Liberia, Chevron is a foreign corporation established under the American laws. It means that the authorization to conduct business or to represent Chevron must come from the board of directors of Chevron or through a power of attorney. For partnership and limited partnership, applicant must prepare partnership agreement and sent to the probate court. It must be probated, and once that is done, that agreement must be submitted to the LPR. For sole proprietorship, that's the simplest form of business registration. You are required to just obtain and fill out the form, application form, and submit that form to the LPR. But all of these have one ID requirement. You either submit your national ID or your passport, whether you are a shareholder of a corporation or a partner of a partnership or a proprietor of a sole proprietorship or an incorporator of a not-for-profit organization. When these requirements are met, the bills are generated by the LPR and the LRA. The required fees can be seen on our website as I stated initially. Additionally, the LPR also ensures that non-Liberians desirous of establishing a business enterprise are in compliance with the investment code of 2010. As you may be aware, in 2010, Liberia passed into law an investment act with relevant provisions that set aside business activities exclusively for Liberians. The intent is to promote exclusive Liberian entrepreneurship and facilitate domestic investment. Some of those business activities set aside only for Liberians are but not limited to the following: the supply of sand, block making, travel agency activities, retail sale of rice and cement, retail sale of timber plants, operation of gas station, pharmaceuticals, among others. To conclude, I would like to inform this forum upon the leadership of Mr. President, the FBR as the lead implementer of the Business Startup Indicator for the World Bank Annual Doing Business Report successfully passed this indicator for 4 consecutive years. This is an indication that Liberia is a destination for investment. The FBR has a functional website and a mini online platform to facilitate the ease of registering your business, though with some limitations. However, we have secured the funding of 3.5 million from the World Bank Group to construct a new state-of-the-art automated system that will ensure that you register your business for the 8 to 20 hours. And currently, we are in the process of tendering and getting people to bid for the contract. This new platform will enable anyone sitting in the comfort of their homes or living room to begin and end their process of registration via their cell phone. This will further enhance and improve the business climate and position Liberia as a country truly open for business. Thank you for affording me this opportunity. May God bless all of you and save our country. Thank you so very much. So I will now pause here to entertain questions, queries. Thank you so very much.
Do we have any questions?
There are a couple of questions in the chat room, which we may have to address during the breakout sessions. But if you could look in there, as the presentations are going, if you see one, there's one here where somebody, I think Stephanie, is saying that sometimes it takes 2 to 6 months to approve both new and renewal business registration. Can we just speak to that very quickly before we go on to the next thing?
I'm not sure what the person is talking about, but I don't know the specifics because we do not take 2 to 6 months to renew or establish a new business, except maybe the applicant may have an issue, maybe with an ID or some problem. But once you submit all the documentations, we are inclined to providing services. Except we have some problem, but basically we take not more than 5 days to have a business registered, except there are other exogenous factors that come from the side of the applicant. But once all the documentations are submitted, all of the requirements are met, I'm not sure that we want to take 2 to 6 months to have a business registered. So I just thought to respond to that.
Okay, thank you.
So how long does it take typically then when all of the documents are properly presented?
We should take not more than 5 days. Sometimes we do in 2 days, 3 days, but it depends on the traffic. But one thing as I need to state, there are a lot of people in Liberia that, for example, who registered a business in 2015, and then the owner bought certificate for that year. And then somebody, in fact, they bid for a contract, for example, and then the requirement is that you have to submit your current registration certificate. You will now want to register to get the current certificate, and the system is such that you have to pay for those periods, and then we issue you the certificate based on history. So that's why sometimes it takes some time to have the business renewed, especially when you have issues with not being current with the process. So these are some of the issues faced, by the very applicants. But once they submit those documents, all they want now is to get a certificate. But the underlying factor is that they are responsible for the delay because we will have to go back and issue those certificates year after year until we get to the current year. Any other question?
Thank you, Mr. D, for addressing those questions. As it was stated before, in the interest of time, we need to move on with the program, but you will have the opportunity excuse me, to ask more questions in the breakout sessions.
Right.
And also, for those who are speakers and panelists,
can I just say something?
Go ahead.
Can I just come in? Yes. So with all of the back and forth, so that's why we are about to go fully automated. So once that is done, you will not take more than 72 hours to have a business register. Even if you have some issues, that will be resolved as soon as possible. So there's a commitment, and that's why we are trying to turn it around. So we are committed to ensuring that we improve the business climate, reducing the number of days it takes to register a business. So I just thought to interchange. Thank you.
No problem. And again, we can utilize the chat throughout this summit. You can send questions to everyone, or you can send questions to a particular person. So we thank you for your questions. Of course, we won't be able to get to all of them, but there are many ways to get your questions answered.
Rhoda, sorry, Rhoda, for you to be interrupted for the second time, but the show is also on Facebook, so there are questions coming on Facebook as well. So we'll be able to incorporate that. One of the questions from Anthony Gay is the business registration process digitized? In other words, can one register his or her business online? And that was answered that is coming soon, right? Automating. Yes, please, quickly.
Yes, currently we have a mini online presence for especially super proprietors and renewal of existing businesses. So you can go to our website at www.lbr.gov.lr. And then, although we have some limitation, but we have an online presence where you can submit. But what I was talking about is a bigger platform that will start your process of registration and end it through digital platform. So the new platform I'm talking about will be able to submit your application, and then we'll send back your certificate back to you through your email. So that is what I'm talking about. Currently, but we'll have a minimal online presence on our website. So it's what I just gave.
Thank you. I would like to again just remind everybody housekeeping rules, as I was trying to explain before. We do not have time to answer all these questions. We'll never get through them. So please wait for the breakout sessions. Utilize the chat. I know we all want to get our questions answered, and this is what this platform is for. But we need to be respectful of everyone's time, and we will have a great amount of time during our breakout sessions to get all these questions answered. So moving on in the program, we are now going to recognize and hear from our sponsors. First up, we have Amir James from the Journey Home Festival. Mr. James?
Hey, how you doing? Can you guys hear me well? Okay. Yeah, of course. Okay, cool. Yeah, thank you for that. Everybody does call me Sakar, but I appreciate that. But Amir's great. Amir James is my mother's name. She's the names my mother gave. And this is my partner, Densai. It's I don't know if she's able to pull up the PowerPoint or if I should share it. I was kind of expecting.
If you have the PowerPoint,
Perfect. So one, we're very grateful and thankful to be a part of this summit. I want to thank everybody from Hester, Nathaniel Toe, Deputy Minister for the Ministry of State, Dr. Kula, and the list goes on. We really appreciate it. Dentuck Ray and I, we're African Americans that have been living here in Liberia for 4 years now. And we have a background in live event production. Okay, beautiful. Okay, if you could go to the third page, please. And basically, yes, so our background is live events. We come from producing festivals in Atlanta. One is ongoing, 12 years now. It's called Atlanta Hip Hop Day. We also sit on the board for what's called the Sweet Auburn Spring Festival that brings out 350,000 people, and it's 36 years running. This is where we gained a lot of our experience, and where we saw how events, live events and productions and festivals can transform a community, right? Because when I first came to Atlanta in 2002, Auburn Avenue, anybody that may be familiar with that street, that's where Dr. Martin Luther King grew up on. It was dilapidated. There was still, you know, druggies all throughout the street. But thanks to Charles Johnson, rest in peace, the founder of the program, bringing 300,000 people down that street every year, that street has been completely transformed, gentrified. Georgia State now owns property along the street. 5-star hotels, restaurants. And so this is what got us into you know, producing events, and what made us say, hey, you know, one, we wanted to go ahead and you know, produce our own, which birthed the Atlanta Hip Hop Day Festival. And then from there, one of our vendors was Senegalese, right? So mind you, you know, we had never been to the continent until 2017. And you know, he was like, yo, you guys need to produce something like this in West Africa. And my partner Dentuck, being a visionary that he is, and the brother Bamba that kept staying on him for about a year straight, convinced us to come out to the Republic of Senegal, and that's what birthed the journey home. And what took place, if you can go to the next slide, is well, actually I'm kind of skipping around. I probably should have just controlled it myself, but yeah, you know, if you can go to yeah, so okay, opposite. So it actually led to us meeting His Excellency Adama Barrow, the president of Gambia. We took a delegation of entrepreneurs and elected officials from Senegal and the Gambia to Atlanta and introduced them to their counterparts, investors and entrepreneurs in Atlanta, as well as Mayor Deborah Jackson, as well as also the mayor of Stonecrest, a newly formed city in Georgia. And it actually ended up in Deborah Jackson taking her journey back to Senegal through this program. And that was her first time coming to the conference. Now, when we were in Senegal, we went to the door of no return, right? We did fall in love with the continent, but then we were like, well, where is the door of return? What matter of fact, we even took photos of ourselves coming through that door, right? You know, that you know, saying like, look, you know, we're really into, you know, words and how things manifest. And it's like, you know, so we had to take a photo saying, no, we returned. Like, you know, and you can go to the next slide, please. We're like, no, we returned, right? And so subconsciously, from that moment on, we were really looking for that door, and that's when we discovered Liberia. And that was in later in 2017. We had, you know, we came here October, and the story, the narrative, because being at the door, the gate of no return for Denta and I, because right, we both like, this is a depressing experience. Whereas here with the brother Ambrose, you know, seeing the J.J. Roberts monument and that stele below it, and him telling us the story of being welcomed home, it's an exact opposite narrative and an experience that we felt like African Americans need to experience as well. Now, me being from Jersey City, you know, 3 generations in, then Tuck Ray, being of Haitian descent and being from Brooklyn, we knew that we could utilize this experience to connect our peers and other influencers with Liberia, get the story to them, and have them come back home to a place that actually welcomes you and experience that freedom. So you can go to the next slide, please. Thank you. And yeah, you can probably keep scrolling down. So that's us with His Excellency Adama Barrow. That's Mayor Deborah Jackson and Madam Diakati. Again, this led to her actually traveling to Senegal because of the journey home. And so basically, we realized that we need to utilize, you know, certain influences in order to make the proper connection, right? So this is when we get into our guests. So we're doing three installations or activations of the program. One in June, one in December, and one in February. June, because June is Juneteenth. For anybody that's familiar with, you know, African American culture in the U.S., you know, Juneteenth as of last year has become a federal holiday, which celebrates the freedom of slaves, or the final announcement of that, actually, right? Or when those in Texas found out in 1865. So this has been something that's been celebrated for a long time, and we felt like what better place to experience Juneteenth or celebrate Juneteenth in Liberia, founded by free African Americans. So June 17th through the 26th, we have some of our special guests. We have Jessica Quinteven, who is with Travel and Leisure. We also have, who already is actually creating an article on the program. She interviewed us and talked about our experience. And, what we kind of, and this is for anybody on the call, what we kind of do or try to do is be an intermediary, right? To be able to speak to other African Americans about what our experience is like, because again, if you've never been to the continent, there's a lot of preconceived notions, a lot of misinformation, especially about Liberia. So what this does is one, it helps SEO, it helps, rebrand, right? Because again, when articles and information come out from Travel and Leisure about her fabulous experience, right? Which I'm sure she will have, that's going to help get that information out. And when people start searching Liberia, they start seeing more positive content, more of the experience that Benta and I have had when we were here, which is beautiful beaches, beautiful food, beautiful people, and hospitality. And we also have.
Also, I want to also add that the main thing for us is to rebrand Liberia. In rebranding Liberia, as Safar has mentioned, it is very important because a lot of our African American counterparts, like Roland Martin and John Amos and the likes, they don't know about Liberia. So it's very important that we inform our counterparts, the youth, our demographic, Liberia exists. And Liberia is a place to come and spend your money because of the fact of the spending power that African Americans have, which is $2 trillion. We want to be able to have that narrative be expounded throughout the community in America.
Exactly, and just in Travel and Leisure alone, I think it's 109 billion was spent by African Americans in 2019, and 63% of that was connected to heritage. So 63% of those people that want to travel with the African American looking for something that has a cultural connection. And we believe Liberia has the best in West Africa, honestly. So we also have Ebony Magazine coming, Rhonda Racha Penrice. So she'll be also joining the trip. And then we also have the Wicker Twins, which are actually on the call. And these sisters are, huge influencers, musicians. They reach over 1.2 million people now on Instagram, 700,000 people on subscribers on their YouTube channel. So they'll also be traveling. They'll be coming in the December trip, but for now they're already putting out content on their page about Liberia. I don't know if they might want to even introduce themselves there on the call as panelists. I don't know if they're able to chime in.
Hi, ladies. Hello. I don't want to interrupt too much, you all. We're running a little bit short on time. So, Sakar, is there any way you can share in our chat? Maybe we can even get access to this PowerPoint or the information within the PowerPoint. And then also share your contact information for those that have been listening on how they can get involved in this amazing event. I will let the sisters say hello quickly, and then if you can kind of give us, wrap it up and give us more information on how we can connect with you and get more information on this wonderful initiative that you have.
Excellent.
Hello, ladies. So our social media influencers, we already broke down the numbers, but we have a pretty big presence on YouTube and Instagram. So we're really excited to be a part of this, and we've already started making content, just informing our followers and our fans about what's going on and the information behind everything. So we're really excited to be a part of it.
And this will be their first trip to the continent. And I think, it's very important that, we see, with you guys, and we're really appreciative of y'all too, because of their connection to this new generation, because these are future travelers, Black travelers, or people that may even want to permanently reside in Liberia. They'll be able to directly communicate that, what the experience is. And we're very excited. Also, they got a song with Teddy Rhodes coming, right? You know, so it's already been recorded, and as well as they're going to be doing some cooking with Chef Chauncey, right? Coming up. So they'll get a chance to
that is amazing. That is amazing. So Sakar, will you drop some of your some information on how we can get more information on this in our chat? This all sounds amazing. I love the connection. You're connected all the Liberian dots. We'd love to see it. So if you can go ahead and just drop that information into the chat, all of us who are on the call, we can contact him, and hopefully we'll have some of the attendees at your event.
Yes, please. We look forward to it. All our contact information is there. Thank you again. And again, we're enjoying our stay in Liberia. We appreciate being welcome, and everybody enjoy the summit. Thank you.
Thank you so much. That was an amazing presentation. Lots of information, lots of connections. And I think I see we have one of our special guests on the line. I actually had the opportunity to meet Mr. Roland Martin. I'm sure we all know him. He's the talk show host of the Roland Martin Show, and he is going to talk to us about mobilizing African Americans to join the Liberian diaspora. We all know the close relationship that Liberians and African Americans have. So it's only fitting that this is a topic that we speak on, and no one better to do it than Mr. Martin. Mr. Martin, we're happy to have you here. Looking forward to all your gems you're about to drop.
All right, can you hear me?
Yes, we do.
Good. So glad to be here. Sorry, I'm battling allergy, so excuse my voice and my eyes. One of my favorite movies, there's a line from the movie Hoop, where Lawrence Fishburne, his character says, "When you don't know, you don't know." And one of the things that we have to understand is that when you talk about African Americans in Liberia, when you don't know, you don't know. Many people, and look, I've run 11. This is now my 13th Black-owned media experience. Many African Americans don't understand the relationship, even the creation, the founding, the history of Liberia, and the role that free people of Africa, free formerly enslaved people of African descent played in the country. So we're talking about creating a connection between the two. You have to first have education. And that means understanding what the American education system has not done, what it is not said, what it has never done, and that is to teach African Americans this history. So that's first. The second piece after education comes enlightenment, and that is, what is that relationship? What are the opportunities? And how then do we begin to foster that? When I visited in February, I was there to celebrate this 200th anniversary of those folks who traveled from Virginia, North Carolina, South Carolina, Mississippi. And so when I was there, the conversations that I had with government officials, when I had with individuals who moved there, folks who are born and raised there, but have also lived here, is that you have Liberian American communities all across the country. So I remember having a conversation, and folks are talking about having one major event. And I said, well, why would you have one major event? I said, why would you not create 8 or 10 events in different cities around the country to be able to create the sort of groundswell to be able to build from? So all of a sudden, if you have an event in Minneapolis, and then one that's in New Jersey, or one in Houston, or one in New York City, or one in DC, now all of a sudden you're building community. The biggest mistake that we make, when I say we, I mean just human beings, is that we assume people already know our story. We assume people are already familiar with it. I, as a journalist, I start with the premise, folks don't. People always crack me up when I introduce myself. They go, "Oh, why are you saying your name?" I said, first of all, I never make the assumption people know who I am. And so that's one of the things that has to happen when we're talking about how are you going to create this connection between the two, and that is, how do you tell the story? How do you now get someone to be interested? And then when you say interested, what are their interests? What is it that they actually care about? And so if they're coming to Liberia, what is the story being told? How are they going to be received? What is going to be said? How are you going to make the impression upon them so when they come back, then they become your ambassadors, if you will, and you don't even particularly know. I went to Ghana in 2019 for the year of return. They did an excellent job of understanding the assignment. They made it easier for people to actually travel to the country. I remember being there, and people literally were just trying to get there. And so they created visas visas on site, as opposed to you trying to go to the office and get it. Again, they were being far more proactive in making it easier for people to be able to come to the country to then experience the year of return. And so all of these things, for me, play a role in fostering that sort of connection. It has to be thoughtful in that way. There is an opportunity here. I can tell you, everybody I've talked, individuals I've talked to who visit the motherland for the first time, even if they've been multiple times, they talk about what it feels like, what the experience is, literally the moment you step feet, the moment you plant your feet on African soil. That cannot be overestimated. And what we also have to understand is that we now have other countries that are now competing for African American dollars, tourism dollars, competing for African American investment dollars. And so I would also be suggesting from a government standpoint, from a private standpoint, is to examine, frankly, who are your largest competitors, if you will. And I would dare say Ghana is probably number one. I would more than likely say, based upon my experiences, South Africa is number two. And understanding how and why they are attracting African Americans to those particular countries. There is an opportunity here, as far as I'm concerned, for us to be able to create a new generation of African Americans who do not have, based upon white-owned media, a negative perception of what it means to go to Africa. We can't underestimate how deep that is, how the perception that people have goes into, oh, I'm not interested. That is a greatly significant, the role that media plays, which is also why it is important for Liberians, it's important for Liberian Americans, it's important for institutions to understand why connecting with Black-owned media like myself is also valuable. Because, as the first Black newspaper said, March 16, 1827, was Freedom's Journal, in the third paragraph, we wish to plead our own cause, too long have others spoken for us. And so, for us to understand the role that we have in terms of how we can be change makers, it means changing this first. We can talk about the beauty, we can talk about the opportunity, but unless we deal with the fertile mind and realizing how this has been conditioned to look down upon African nations, then we're not going to be successful. So I think the opportunity is there. I think the willingness is there, but there really has to be a thoughtful way of being able to connect, if you will, to connect these dots. They would tell the story for folks to begin to say, you know what, this is the place I want to visit, this place I want to come back to multiple times, this is a place I would love to invest, this place I would love to bring my family. And so I really hope that happens. That's one of the reasons why we went. We started last night with the interview with the president, George Weah. We're going to have other packages, other pieces that we're actually putting together because, again, when people actually see what an experience is, they actually have no idea about, then all of a sudden it begins to change their view. And so we certainly look forward to them to tell that story and showing people so they begin to understand that their perceptions is not reality. And that to me is going to be one of the most important things.
Thank you very much, Roland, for first of all, for your presence and what you said. Check out your competitors and see why. And so that's very, very important. And Roland, we have, Clarice, we have some questions or we wait for the breakout? All right. And so we continue with our sponsors. Rhoda, if you want to chime in before.
Yes, again, thank you, Mr. Martin. That was an amazing presentation. A lot of gems were dropped, and I'm sure a lot of us agreed with what was being said. So we're going to go back to our sponsors, and we have Mr. Mahmoud Johnson, the CEO of JPalm Liberia. Mr. Johnson?
Hi everyone, my name is Mahmoud Johnson. Really, it's a pleasure to be here. I know we're on Zoom, but I would like to share a video because the video does have some footage and some pictures of the work that we're doing, and I think it's important to share those as well. So I'm just going to share my screen now and share this video.
Mahmoud, you have the share link.
I do. So I'm opening it now. Okay, can you see my screen now?
Yes.
Help us to help reduce poverty. Okay, there we go.
Mahmoud, I have this video. I can share it because it seems to be clear.
Okay.
Oh, you can stop sharing. Thank you. I'll get this video.
So I guess maybe I can start talking. Yeah.
Right.
So hi everyone, again, my name is Mahmoud Johnson. I born and raised here in Liberia, went to high school here, and then after high school I went to college in the US. And right after college, I decided to come back home to start JPalm Liberia. So
can we go ahead and do it now?
Yeah. So this video is done during USAID's anniversary celebration. Yeah.
While studying economics at Dartmouth College in the United States, Mahmoud Johnson came across a study that he said was an eye-opener.
I came across some study that USAID had done here in Liberia where they found that I think about 35% of the palm fruit remain on the trees every year without being harvested because there are so many bottlenecks in the production process. And also found out that when the farmers harvest the palm, they actually end up losing about 50% of the expected yield because again, the way that they're producing the palm oil is not quite efficient.
Upon his return to Liberia in 2013, that study set the then 22-year-old Mahmoud on a track to establish a business, J-Palm, built around bringing efficiency to palm oil production.
We were able to get some machines again that sort of came to Liberia through USAID program, the Smallholder Oil Palm Support Project, where they train local blacksmiths on how to make palm oil machines.
He had some of these machines made for him that he then gave to palm oil producers in Europe.
And by using these machines, farmers can increase their yields by about 53%.
So Mahmoud was now in the business of selling palm oil in Monrovia, and he bought from people using these machines. But he realized he could do more with a byproduct from palm oil production, the palm kernels, the edible seed of the palm fruit, which is encased in a hard outer shell.
Now we have basically created a market for the palm kernels where we buy from them, enabling them to earn additional income from something that just a few years ago was treated as waste.
Mahmoud began extracting oil from the kernels. That was the major ingredient in a series of J-Palm skin and hair products sold on the local market and produced at his plant in Sincor.
It achieves two things, right? One is that it enables us to be able to create and sustain the jobs that we're creating. But then number two, it helps us also to be able to sort of deepen the impact that we're creating for the smallholder farmers.
Initially, his products were sold in local supermarkets and by salespeople walking the streets. But about a year ago, he opened his own store in Sincor. Now, with some donor assistance, Mahmoud is poised to take his business to a whole new level, where he will be exporting palm kernel oil to markets in Europe and the United States.
And speaking about USAID, I think it sort of has come full circle where the company's founding was in a way informed by USAID research. And now we are working more directly with USAID through the West Africa Trade Hub, where we, in association with Pacha Soap, the US-based company, we're going to get a grant just to fund our certification costs for organic.
To take advantage of this new export potential, Mahmoud is, with help from the United States Africa Development Foundation, now investing in setting up a modern palm kernel oil manufacturing plant outside Manga in Bond County.
And we hope that within the next 1 to 2 weeks, the factory will be fully operational. Once it's operational, it'll be able to process 25 tons of palm kernels per day.
He's been at this for 9 years now. And what's the key lesson he's learned?
What we've shown here is that it is possible to use our own natural resources in this country and add value and set up a manufacturing process in turn helps us to create employment and also help us to help reduce poverty.
All right, so that's a brief overview of our operations at Chile from Liberia, and I look forward to engaging more and talking more about doing business in Liberia, so that the nuts and bolts during the breakout sessions.
Thank you, Mahmoud. Yeah, thank you. I want to remind all of you watching, even the other social media platform that we have the breakout session, and through that you're going to be able to ask more questions. Rhoda?
Okay, we are going to take a quick break from our sponsors, and we are going to have Ms. Nikita Ricks, the HD40 representative, and from the Colorado House of Representatives, speak to us here on the topic of why are we here? Ms. Ricks? Give me a moment. No worries. Welcome.
In case you are just joining us, this is the Liberia Diaspora Virtual Summit that is held on Unification Day today. And we want to welcome all of you and keep tuned as we go back to Representative Nequita Riggs.
And also for everybody asking what the program is about, you will have an opportunity once again to be able to ask as many questions as you need to in the breakout room. Unfortunately, it will not be fully addressed here, as Rita mentioned earlier, due to time constraints. So if you can just be patient, once you get in those breakout rooms, all of your questions will be answered.
Sorry, everyone. I somehow lost my notes, but happy Unification Day to everyone. And I'm so excited to be here. I know that we all share a common goal of being Liberians by lineage, by heritage. And even though we may have other nationalities, we share that heritage as Liberians. Welcome. It's my pleasure to be here this morning to just share this moment with you. Is a first of its kind virtual summit engaging the diaspora to talk about how do we move Liberia forward. And so I'm very, very excited, especially on a day as Unification Day, which was a day that was celebrated in Liberia to bring all of our different tribal groups and different ethnic groups there together. So it's very fitting on this May 14th to be here in front of you talking about how the diaspora now can connect back and unify with our country to move it forward. The purpose for being here today is manifold. We're here to talk about mobilizing and harnessing our professions and our skills, our knowledge and our abilities, bringing together resources, bringing together like-minded people who can collaborate and try to help to bring the country forward, to move it forward. We just celebrated the founding of Liberia, which is over 200 years ago. So as we dream about the Liberia in the next 50 years, the next 100 years, where do we see it going? And these discussions hopefully will lead to some meaningful contributions, collaborations, and concepts, ideas, and strategies on helping Liberia to move forward. You see, in the diaspora, we already make huge contributions toward Liberia. We do so through remittances. In 2020, we contributed 10.4% of the GDP of Liberia. So on a per capita basis, that's a huge and significant amount. We compare our remittances to the average per country, and we are 2 times that amount according to globaleconomy.com. So my question to you is, how have those remittances impacted Liberia? Have they made any significant impact? I would say no, that they have not. I think that there is a better way that we can strategically use funding and direct them so that we're more impactful to the development of Liberia. Today, we're going to be looking at different sectors that were selected. There's so many different sectors, but we're going to start off with agriculture, tourism, education, and healthcare. These are sectors that are catalytic to moving our country forward. And as we get into these breakout rooms, we'll be hearing and exchanging ideas that will hopefully help us to come to some bold next steps and actionable items that we can take in order to start this conversation. You know, when we think about other countries and how they have developed, many countries have developed in the last 50 years. And in fact, I think in the chat room, I recently saw a video, and it was Steve Harvey talking about the development of the UAE. and how beautiful it was. You're seeing all this beautiful skyline, and they've done that in 50 years. I think that, as Liberians, we are as talented, we are as gifted. It's just a matter of really just being united and using some specific, being determined, and taking these steps that are going to move us forward. So I look forward to a very spirited, rewarding conversation today as we look at Liberia the next 100 years. Thank you for being here today.
Thank you very much. We say honorable Nequita Rex. That's what we're used to. So, Rhoda?
Yes, thank you again, Representative Briggs. Great information. I would also like to remind everyone who was on the call a little bit earlier, the questions from Liberian Registry, Business Registry is now available in the chat. So scroll up to get those questions answered for those of you who were asking questions. We're going to jump back into our sponsors. The next group, the Liberia Marathon Trust, I had the honor of working with them and being, I am a media partner for the Liberian Marathon. We have Julianne Wayman, and I think we also may have Charles Dormy Cooper. I'm not sure which one is speaking. Both great individuals. Welcome.
Thank you so much, Rhoda. I hand over to Charles, actually. And you pull up our presentation, right?
Hello.
What shall we do?
If you have a special way of presenting, you can go ahead and pull up your own. I have it open. I'm ready to go with it.
Yeah. I would go ahead. If you can share, that's perfect.
Hello, can everyone hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Awesome. Okay. So thank you for giving us the opportunity to speak today. I'm Charles Cooper, one of the board members of the Liberia Marathon, one of the founding members. I'm gonna kind of give an overview, try and be as quick as possible. I'm not sure, can everyone see the presentation? Okay.
Yeah.
So the Liberia Marathon is an inclusive race event. First started in 2011. We can go to the next slide. Yes, so we started in 2011. It is the largest athletics event in Liberia, just as far as numbers. We have over 1,000 people who come to participate for every event. It's the largest road race in the country. We can stop at this slide. It is the also probably the largest tourist event ongoing since 2011 because we have people who fly in from East Africa, West Africa, Europe, the United States to participate in the race. And they spend their own money to come and run with Liberians each time. You can go to the next slide. Yes, right there. Thank you. So just an overview of, hi, can we go back to the core principles slide? Yes. So I just want to go over our core principles of the marathon. Safety, of course. For each event, we have a huge medical team and a committee. Actually, the last medical committee was headed by Dr. Nicole Cooper, who is on the line today. It's also collaboration with SD Cooper Hospital and JFK MC Medical Center. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. And I'm sorry, we can stay on the core principles slide. I'll let you know when I want to move forward. Okay. Quality, we always strive to have a modern event. So in 2011, we had the National Athletic Federation come and measure the course, which allowed international runners to come and compete. In 2013, we brought in a chip timing system, which lets us electronically track runners as they cross the finish line. Affordability, what sets us apart from other marathons is we make sure that the price of entry into the marathon is only about $2 or $3, which lets the average Liberian participate. Normally in another country, they would say it's about $30 or $100 to, cover the cost of the race. Inclusiveness, from the very start, we've included a wheelchair race and a race for people on crutches, a 10K race in each marathon. So it's multiple race events on the day of the race. And that's been one of our commitments. Of course, the marathon incorporates men and women competing, and we have separate prizes for each group. Can we go to the next slide? Yes, so our goal is to develop athletes in Liberia to compete onto the international scene. Of course, we're great at developing soccer players, but we believe that Liberians have a much broader scope of talent. We do believe that sports is a tool for social change and transformation. And, we've always, even before the current administration, kind of believed in sports as a development initiative. So next slide, please. Just a brief history. Like I said, we started in 2011. We held another race in 2013. We did a race in 2014, which was canceled by the Ebola outbreak, and we're able to complete that race in 2015. It is organized by a nonprofit group, which was founded in 2010, called the Liberia Marathon Trust, and it's just a group of volunteers. So, no one who organizes the race is actually paid for the race, except in 2014, we brought on a Liberian race director, who was the only person who was paid for the event. So all of the funding that we receive goes towards purchasing t-shirts, prizes, medals, advertising, banners, promoting sponsors, things like that. Next slide, please. So in 2021, we brought back the marathon due to a huge amount of requests from athletes in Liberia who this was one of their only outlets. Maybe they weren't, in the traditional Liberian sports, and they were long distance runners. We, from the very beginning, created this culture of running in Liberia. So a lot of the running clubs, like you see, like the hillside running clubs, were started as training groups for the Liberia Marathon. So these people are training all the time, running, and they're looking for this event. They look forward to this event. Even now, we have people requesting. So it is organized in collaboration with the Minister of Youth and Sports, Monrovia City Corporation, Painesville City Corporation, the Liberia Athletics Federation. We get a huge amount of support from the AFL and from the LNP because we have to shut down the streets for a few hours to make it happen, and they provide security and organization. So it is a huge event that incorporates all of these different players, and to date it has been a completely safe and festive event. Everybody it's been really a cathartic experience for everybody involved. Next slide, please. The current race is set by the Minister of Youth and Sports for August 21st. It is going to include a full marathon, a half marathon, a 10K race, foot race, and then a 10K race for wheelchairs and a 10K race for crutches. And it is the official marathon for Liberia. We're inviting everyone who's here to please come and participate, support in any way that you can. We have an ongoing fundraiser, so you can go to the next slide. On GoFundMe, we'll share the link in the chat. This marathon is organized using donations from individuals, in-kind donations. For example, we have amazing sponsors like Aqualife who give water, and we also receive corporate social responsibility donations from organizations who want to support us. In the past, we've had MTN, Orange, Exxon, and the like. We will share this link, and I will say we also had an amazing video of the last event that was done by our host, Rhoda Ure. We'll also share a link to the video that she did, so you can really understand the culture of running and the impact that the race has on the ground for Liberians. So thank you very much. And we will be in the chats and the breakout groups to answer any questions.
Thank you so much, Dormy. And again, amazing organization, what they're doing. Definitely check out the video, not because I made it, but it really, really does show the amazing work that they're doing and how inclusive this organization is. Next, we will have Samuel M. Lawrence from Millennium Construction, another one of our sponsors. Mr. Lawrence?
Thank you so much for the opportunity. I'm Samuel M. Lawrence, Marketing Manager of Millennium Construction Incorporated. I'm here with my team members. I'm here with Pat. He's our creative guy in terms of the IT works. And then I'm here with Michelle Colley. She's our head of corporate affairs. And then Caroline Collins, she's one of our marketing executives. So we have this presentation that we don't want to take all your time. We will just go through quickly so that you see what we are as a company and what our offers are. So the presentation I will take you through quickly. Okay, so this is how we'll be gathering in terms of what we expect in the coming slides. We will introduce our company and then we will show you, we are in the real estate, so definitely you will be concerned about the kind of houses that we do. And then we have pictures of the various homes that we do as well. So we welcome you to Atlanta Estate. This is how we call the estate that we are developing. Next slide, please. So there is a presentation online as I mentioned earlier. Next slide, please. Okay, so quickly I'll take you through the history of the company or the introduction of the company. We are Millennium Construction Incorporated, registered in the north of Liberia. The company is a Ghanaian firm and it's being managed by Mr. Mohamed Abdullahi, who is a Ghanaian. And the good thing to mention here is that 95% of the staff of the company are all Liberians. We are talking about at least 300 persons in the employ of the company. So we started doing developing private properties that led us to running the Millennium Guest House that is in the Congo Belt. That business has shut down, but it's something that we venture in, but because of the slow pace of the economy, we had to slow down. This led us into developing another company, not a company per se, but going into another estate, the estate that is located in the Tartan Belt, not too far from the State Highway. So we started that, and then at a certain point in time, it led us to getting involved with the Millennium Construction Company, especially Atlanta Estate. So this is something that we are trying to do on a land size of at least 1,179 acres of land, developing 5,000 homes, at least 5,000 homes. So currently we are around like 300 homes in terms of the different categories. So you can quickly look through the kind of category of houses that we are developing from time to time. We have the 2-bedroom houses. We have 3 categories on the 2-bedroom houses. We have the semi-detached, we have the fully detached, and we have the 2-bedroom semi-executive. So all of the 3-bedroom also have 3 categories: the 3-bedroom regular, semi-executive, and the executive as well. So the 4-bedroom categories, we have 2 major categories that we do. We have the 4-bedroom executive and as well the 4-bedroom storage unit. So the next slide you will see will just take you through quickly the pictures of the home in terms of the various categories that we have. So as you can see, you see the various category of the homes as well as the features of the homes. So the feature tells you, okay, this house is this kind of category, it comes to POP, it comes to Delta and RP. So we just quickly go through the following slides as you see the various kind of homes that we have. So there's the 2-bedroom semi-detached. This is the features as you can see, what the house is, the size of the house, the internal part of the house, the external part of the house as you can see. Next slide, please. Okay, so we decided to do it like this, where you will see how we started, where the houses were, and then you also see where we are currently in terms of the project that we're making. So the picture you saw first is where the house was, Now you see the two barrels in the that's where it is. So this is before and then this is now, as you see in the picture. Next slide, please. Okay, so there's the two barrels in executive as well. It comes with the feature, the outside it and everything, the internal part, the external part. Next slide, please. Okay, so this is how the house worked in the past. And then you also see the next slide that tells you or shows you how where we are currently. So in fact, to speak of this, this is the house that someone currently lives in. It's already completed. There is someone who lives in it as we speak. Sorry, I think the same slide. Next slide, please. Okay, so this is another category of the houses. We have the so this is the fully detached, the two bedrooms. As you can see, this is how it works, and then this is how it is currently. So this is the three-bedroom regular, and I spoke about earlier. We have three categories. This is the regular. The regular comes with the different features, the interior part, the exterior part. So this is how the units were in the past. So as I speak to you, I'm saying in the month of May 2022, the current picture we're about to see is where it is. So this is how we have our three-bedroom regular as we speak.
Yep.
So this is the executive. The executive comes with different features in terms of how if you compare how the three-bedroom regular is, because it's different in the category of how they do with the prices. So what you're paying for the three-bedroom regular is not what you pay for the three-bedroom executive. So as you can see, you see something like a regular. So it's more expensive than the regular. Because the regular comes with the regular thing as the audio. It comes with the regular.
If I'm on mute, the program will not be streamed.
As we speak. Next slide, please. Okay, so this is the executive, the two-bedroom. This is the two-bedroom executive as the features and everything. This is how we had it. And then the next slide shows the current status of the building. So this building is, I would say, around 97% completed. It's already been bought. It's only for the client to put in the furniture and what have you to move in. So this is where it is at. I mean, in the month of May, and I'll speak to you. Next slide, please. Okay, so we have the full-bedroom story building. The story building comes with you see the features and the interior, exterior part. This is how the last photo we took before was this. This is how the building was. And the next slide shows what the building is. So we have different, we have so many of them.
Okay, I think we may be having a little bit of a technical issue, but in the meantime, until we get back on, I want to thank Mr. Lawrence again for this wonderful presentation. I have had the opportunity to tour this place, and it is amazing. The houses are beautiful. It's been a great location, very close to the Marshall Junction. So I hope you all dig a little deeper and can get more questions answered on these amazing homes. And finally, before we move on, we're going to bring in our last sponsor, Dr. Clarice Kula, Year of the Diaspora. I think we all know her. So welcome, Dr. Kula.
Good morning, everybody. Dr. Wilma, can you play that video for us, please? Dr. Wilma, can you hear me? Okay, while she's getting ready, so Year of the Diaspora, you know, that's what we're doing. A lot of the events that we're doing, we're trying to engage the diaspora and get us to come home to Liberia. We started last December, all the way through this December. So we're gearing up again. I think the videos are, we're gearing up again, and I'm just going to share that we have some tickets. We know that Air France is no longer in Liberia. So we were able to solidify some tickets with Brussels Airlines. So if anybody's interested, we will be going this December, from December the 15th through January 4th. Again, that's December the 15th through January 4th. You guys can contact us for more information. Dr. Wong, please play the video. We can't hear the video.
In 1821, a home was birthed in Providence Island. A home that once stood as the pinnacle of Africa's decolonization. A home that has persisted in the face of atrocity and today remains more united than ever. A home where nature, culture, landscape, beaches, and history awaits a glorious moment to be lived. At the pinnacle of 200 years, Liberia is excited to welcome Africans in the diaspora home again. Let's return to where it all started. Come, rediscover and rebuild the land which has so much more to offer. Explore attractions, taste our food, experience our culture, and impact our communities. Let's go home. Visit Liberia, December 2021 through December of 2022, the year of the diaspora. For more information, please visit our website at www.libyearofthediaspora.org. See you in Liberia.
All right. Again, thank you very much. So just remember that this December, we would like to have all of us come back to Liberia and be a blessing to our country. This December, Representative Rich will be doing a summit, encouraging all diasporans to invest in Liberia. So it will be a great investment summit. We'll have a few other activities and tours. Liberia this year launch is Amazing Discoveries, which is through tourism. So we want to go to Liberia as tourists this year and experience all of the beautiful places that Liberia has to offer. So please do join us again this year, December the 15th through January 4th. We'll be looking forward to taking our diaspora home so that we can be a blessing to Liberia. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Clarice Kular. And I love the scenery. Yeah, I love that, and I can't wait. Next, we're going to go through the various sectors. So we call that the sector overview. And we're going to start with our Minister of Agriculture, Minister Janine Cooper. And again, if you are just joining us, this is Liberia Diaspora Summit. At this time, we're going to go to Minister Cooper for the sector overview on agriculture. Welcome.
Jay, thank you very much, Dennis, and thank you to the organizers of this wonderful, wonderful summit on this National Unification Day. I think it's very, very important that we're doing it on this day that represents the coming together of Liberians, and we're bringing the diaspora back home on this day through this summit. So thank you very much for inviting me. Agriculture, I must excuse myself. I have a touch of laryngitis, so my voice will be coming off a little bit not as I'd like, but no show was not an option. So we will just do it this way. Agriculture is some 40% of Liberia's GDP, and 80% of our rural population is employed in agriculture. So it's probably the most important economic driver for our country. We have had a long history of tree crops and food crops. We all know about cocoa and coffee that gave Liberia its fame, and also rice, but also in the last 150 years or so, rubber. But given our history, and particularly our 20th century history and our civil crisis, Liberia agriculture now is looking at focusing on quality rather than quantity. We have high quality crops, and you will hear more about it in the presentation later on. And we're prepared to address the fact that almost everything that we grow in Liberia is organic because we don't use harmful chemicals and harmful practices. Liberia is an import-dependent country. That means that makes us vulnerable to global events, and even local events like Ebola, COVID, even Ukraine crisis, climate change, because we import most of what we eat and consume, and therefore any disruption to global supply chains is a disruption for us. In agriculture, what we have been trying to do under the George Weah administration is to build better relationships between the public sector and the private sector. And this means that we are looking at 3 main trusts, and I will speak more about that in the breakout session. One is for government to provide the enabling environment that can address challenges faced in agriculture. 2, we're looking at targeted value chain development. That is to say, targeted sectors of agriculture: rice, cocoa, coffee, shrimp and seafood, rubber, livestock, oil. How can we develop those better to drive our national development and enable us to achieve the sustainable development goals? And our third thrust in agriculture is looking at building up rural infrastructure, our road facilities, our renewable energies, and also our communications. I would not say much more now. That's the overview. Join us in the breakout session on agriculture, and we will go in more depth at the opportunities that are there for diaspora involvement that is already happening in the agricultural sector in Liberia. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Minister Janine Cooper. A famous African president once said, if agriculture goes wrong, everything goes wrong. So thank you so much for that. And I can't wait for the breakout session so we can have questions and some answers. Right?
Sorry about that. Okay, so next we will have Dr. Nicole Cooper, who is CEO and Medical Director of the United Partners.
Good afternoon and morning to everyone. As Reda mentioned, I'm Dr. Nicole Cooper. I'm a U.S. board certified internist and pediatrician working in Monrovia, Liberia at the moment. I have a background both in training in the public sector in Liberia, training pediatricians, and also formerly headed the largest diagnostic and outpatient center in Liberia. I now own and operate Wellness Partners Clinic, which is a multi-specialty clinic in Monrovia, and I also sit as the chair of the Healthcare Federation of Liberia. The Healthcare Federation of Liberia is the unifying body that works to promote an environment that enables strong private health facilities. So it unifies all of the non-state actors in health in Liberia to work together, collaborate together, and improve the quality of private healthcare, as well as, thank you, improve the quality of private healthcare, as well as collaborate with government to achieve the government's health sector goals. So in our health breakout room, I'll be giving an overview of the sector, some innovations that we're pioneering for health in Liberia, and then we'll move on to hearing from our participants some of the challenges that they've had in Liberia with the health sector, challenges that those in the diaspora have when trying to coordinate care in Liberia, and then discuss ways that investment can help to overcome these challenges. Finally, we'll conclude with some next steps and creating points of contact and actionable things that can happen next to make sure that we're making progress in this sector. Thank you. Mrs. Red, I don't think we're going into my presentation. We can put my bio up, thank you. But I don't think we're going into my presentation just yet. I believe we're going to hear from the rest of the speakers. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Next, Rhoda, I want you to take. Next is Dr. Gary Stephen. Do we have that? Dr. Stevens, for your presentation. Yeah. Forgive us, last room, so you're going to hear some background noise.
All right, Dr. Stevens is coming on now. Dr. Aubrey Stevens, please unmute this.
Good morning, everybody. Good afternoon in Liberia. I'm Dr. Aubrey Stevens, currently the Vice President for Academic Support Services at AME University. And I'm an educator. I've been an educator for more than 15 years, both in the U.S. and Liberia. First of all, I want to thank Hester, Dr. Pula, and everybody else for inviting me to the platform. So far, it seems very interesting, and we are looking for sustainable education in Liberia. It's so key, and that's my passion on me as an educator, and this is what I took my horn everywhere I go. Currently, I'm with a nonprofit organization that I found, the ETIC and Miriam Youth Educational Foundation, and our platform is to strengthen students in taking the WASP exam, because we found out that a lot of our students here fail the WASP because we need to strengthen their skills in the math, in English, in science. So our platform here today is to talk about those strengths that we need and challenges facing our students here. So our organization, what we do, we have a group of students that we partner with a church in Atlanta, Georgia, the Rainbow Baptist Church, and they help us send some laptops for our students. And this is what we use. We have teachers from in Atlanta that volunteer their services. And we have a local teacher here who come every Saturday to help our students strengthen their skills in taking the WASP exam. And so far, we have seen a success rate because one of our students successfully passed the WASP this year. And she's currently at AMU University pursuing her college degree. So we know this is a good platform for us. And we're here to talk about that. When we go into the breakout sessions, if you have any questions about our organization, about the educational system in Liberia, because I've been here in and out about 10 years now, almost 10 years. So I have a good grasp of what is going on here, what our weaknesses are, how we can improve the educational system in Liberia. So when we go into the breakout session, I'll be able to speak to all of those people. If anybody have questions, I'll be available. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Stevens. Wonderful initiative. And lastly, we have for our sector overview, this lady needs no introduction. You all know her well. Hester Baker, National Tourism, Brand and Marketing Consultant, ITC, and of course, CEO of Elizabeth Village. Beautiful, beautiful resort in Kenya. Hester?
Good afternoon. It's now afternoon here in Liberia. It's afternoon in the U.S. Good afternoon to all of you. And again, like everybody else, we do want to say thank you to the Diaspora Office, which is under the Ministry of State and Portfolio, for putting this together and making this happen. Now, we're talking tourism this afternoon, so I'm going to ask a question. Why tourism? Well, because I have seen what tourism can do for a country, a city, and ultimately the people. Why not tourism? Because without it, Liberia is not ever going to achieve its fullest potential. You see, I saw tourism, I saw and worked in Atlanta tourism during its formative years. I saw a small Bible Belt city mistaken over and over again for Atlantic City. And I saw them fight to win the 1996 Olympics. And before our eyes, millions of people and billions of dollars poured into Atlanta, into a tiny city overnight, creating a wonderful, wonderful economy for Atlanta. Atlanta then, a city of only 840,000 residents, brought in 18 million visitors annually. And the visitor market, because it thinks and acts differently than the resident market, is a massive potential for Liberia. You see, the residents of any country or any city, they cook at home. Many times they might do window shopping. Maybe they might go and visit an attraction. But the visitor comes with a different mindset. The visitor comes in with money burning holes in their pocket. The visitor, he is not bringing a kitchen with him. The visitor is here to buy gifts for loved ones. He must rent a car. He must stay in a hotel. He must travel in by air, sea, or water, air, sea, or road. He eats, he shops, he rides, he sightsees, because he has no choice. So imagine 18 million people coming into Atlanta annually, and imagine the billions and billions of dollars that generated. Now, here's the thing. You have to be ready to receive visitors in Liberia. We need hotels. We need various types of hotels. We need rental cars. We need shopping. We need many options in terms of shopping. We need dining. We need many different types of dining. We need activities. We need events. We need attractions. And we need a country that is hospitable. We need people that are skilled. And we must be ready to give people a reason to come into Liberia and to keep them coming. A study across Liberia recently done in March under the International Trade Center in collaboration with the Ministry of Information, Cultural Affairs and Tourism, as well as the Ministry of Commerce and the UNWTO, revealed that Liberia has enormous tourism potential and possibly some of the most amazing discoveries that can rival any of the best destinations in the world. Our tourism resources touch on a little bit of everything. Liberia has history. We are Africa's oldest republic. That comes with a wealth of historical resources. We have attractions. We have mountains, Mount Nimba. We have Wakalo Mountain in Cape Mount. We have Goma Hills in Buffalo, and so much more. We have the largest remaining portion of the Upper Guinea rainforest. So that means Sapo National Forest, the East Nimba Nature Reserve. We have waterfalls from the popular Pasawi to say you got waterfalls in Bun County, which is the largest, the Gombepa waterfall, which is the tallest in Buffalo. We have lakes. We have the amazing Lake Tito. We have Lake Shepherd in Maryland. We have 360 miles of pristine beachfront property that is an incredible coastline for development. We have a beautiful mix of culture, from the Gribble warriors and their war dance, to Julie Andes Crusaders for Peace, to our villages with their incredible values, to our national colorful troops, the original Kendall colorful troops. We have structures. We have Dukor Palace. We have Hotel Wapalo. We have the Tubman Arts Center. We have Providence Island. We have the settlement. We have monuments, and so much that need attention. They need beautification. They need renovation. They need development. Our people, we have a very young and restless population that is desperately in need of professional skills, We need to build up their professionalism. We need to build up and encourage them to be skillful at work. We need to encourage them. We need to support. And we also need to de-traumatize because we also have a lot of trauma that have also gone unattended in Liberia. Where am I going with all this? No one will come to our aid because we don't need them. As we begin to look inward as Liberians, these things are ours to develop. And until we as Liberians begin to put our hands to the fire and work together as one, all of these things remain stagnated, and Liberia, of course, remains stagnated. Liberia right now is rated one of the poorest countries on earth. Liberia recently, I saw a rating where Liberia is top 10, one of the top 10 in terms of least educated countries in Africa. So we have a lot of work to do. Today in our breakout, we will have frank and honest conversations. We're not going to have empty words and blank promises, but tangible actions and hard, things that we must deal with. We will kick to the curb anyone who is corrupt, anyone who is seeking self-aggrandizement, anyone here to disrupt the process. We don't want them to be a part of our process. You're either in or out. For anyone that is against Liberia, we say now is the time to straighten out. Liberia needs us to be straight, honest, sincere, dedicated, committed, and patriotic. We will see you in the session, and we want to say thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. And we also want to say to Chef Chauncey, thank you for joining us this afternoon, and we're so glad to have you. We look forward to engaging with you in the breakout. Thank you, Lord.
Thank you so much, Hester. And just by mentioning the name Chauncey, I'm hungry. I want to say thank you again. If you are just joining us, you will agree with me that after 2 hours, the objective set forward, that is bringing like-minded Liberians together, you can see that has been achieved to the fullest. We've all been connected, and also identifying the expertise in the diaspora and back home. That have placed a check mark to that objective. At this time, we're going to bring in Professor Wilma Meshanini Red, who's going to introduce talk about the breakout sessions and see where we go from here. Again, thanks for following.
Hello, everyone. Again, how are you? And I have just put a link in the chat. So if you go to the chat and you click that link, it will take you to the breakout session. We would like the facilitators to go in first immediately. When you go into the breakout session, you will be taken out of this room, out of the webinar altogether. So you'll have to come back in. And I will put a link in the breakout session to bring back into the webinar. So for now, all you need to do is click, but when you click on the link, you will find the 4 little boxes that say breakout rooms, and you have to go into the room that you are interested in. There are 4 rooms: agriculture, education, health, and tourism. So you have a choice to go into those individual rooms and listen to the presentations that will be made. Okay, so without much ado, I think you can click, and we need everybody to go into there. Go ahead.
Yeah. Okay, so we need the facilitators to start going in there. And while they're going in there, the facilitators and the presenters, while you're going in, Honorable Chukwuka is here. He's just going to say hello to us. Can you please turn on your mic and say hello while the facilitators are going and the presenters are going into the chat room to wait for our guests? Thank you.
All right. So yeah, Derek.
Thank you. And I'm sorry that I lost late because I'm actually traveling for work. I'm Trokon Kui. I'm the Minister of State with our portfolio, and I'm the head of PDU. I'm very happy and I'm very much grateful to each and everyone on this platform. My team has been working tirelessly to make sure this happen, and I want to say thank you to Nathaniel to Kuampa. And as I always say, the harder we work, the more we can achieve. And I'm happy that people.
Sorry, go ahead. Go right ahead. I'm sorry.
I'm happy that like minds are on this platform for us to find solution to most of our challenges. So I would say thank you, and I will just go into the breakout session. So thank you very much.
Thank you. For those watching us on social media platforms, I will do my best to navigate to the breakout sessions so that you can get a glimpse of what is going on there, so you see and also participate. So let's do that now and go into breakout. Now, Red?
Dennis, we need you to help in the breakout session. Are you going to click the link and join us? Roida?
Yes, we're going to
Okay,
click.
you want to make sure, but okay, so take your time. I'm in that other room. I'm on two computers. I will leave you here and try to send people in to the different room. Okay.
Okay, how do I get my presentation up to this one?
At the bottom of the screen, do you see a green button that says share?
But I thought y'all have to have it so y'all.
Oh, thank you. Thank you so much. Is Mr. Cooper on?
Mr. Cooper is here, but
Yeah,
can you please, is that Dennis or Arthur? Arthur, can you please load my presentation?
So let me see here. Let me try to share your presentation.
Well, viewers on Facebook and other social media platforms, this is the agricultural breakout section with Minister Cooper.
Share screen. I'll go to my.
Okay, we'll be back. Let's go to another breakout section and see education.
Welcome, everyone. We're just waiting for the rest of our team.
And by the way, this is the education breakout section for our viewers watching on social media platform. Get set. I'm going to quickly navigate to another breakout section so that you can just get a taste of what we are enjoying here.
All right, just a minute, man. Is this the education
Yes.
section?
Yes, sir.
All right, okay. I've been looking for this place a little long.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the healthcare breakout session. This is the breakout room for health.
Hello, everybody. We will begin shortly in tourism. We're awaiting the facilitator right now.
Again, welcome to the tourism breakout room.
It's really funny how the two MCs ended up in the same breakout session.
This is my last one, so I'm going to the other breakout rooms.
Worked out well.
Dennis?
Oops. I thought you were having a challenge.
Yeah,
we can see the presentation.
Okay. Good.
me.
Yeah, thank you so much. You get everything on now. Thank you so much, Mr. Cooper. Thank you so much, Mr. Cooper. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the agriculture session. We are right here in the room, and we will wait at least for 2 or 3 more minutes so that we can begin this discussion. Because we want more people to come in, and for us to see how best we can discuss Liberia's only gateway, the thing I call you made me grow when I eat you. So let's wait 30 minutes. It is 10:22. 10:22, like 10:25, we will begin the process immediately. Having said that, we can engage in a unification talk. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm happy to be here today to talk Unification Day. I've never ever celebrated Unification Day so long than today, having this global section meeting and
I know. Yeah, I'm sorry. I was expecting Dr. Erickson, so I didn't make the connection there, but I'm glad.
Yeah, it's okay.
Yes. Oh, an old friend, Miss Lisa Marsh. How are you?
Hi, I'm doing well, and you?
Good to see you. I'm blessed. Did one of your daughters just graduate here in Atlanta?
Charlene, yes, from UGA.
Oh, wow. I'm hearing great things about that young lady. Very great things. Yes, yes. I guess we're waiting for the other.
Feedback. Good.
In the meantime, Mr. Brock, would you please confirm that the session is being recorded?
Excuse me?
Could you please confirm that the breakout room is being recorded?
Wellman will know that. What I'm trying to do is to stream it on our social media platform.
Okay, thank you.
I'll find out quickly. Again, we want to welcome all viewers from all our social media platforms. If you are watching, this is the Liberia Diaspora Summit. We say happy Unification Day to all of you. Please join. We have various breakout sessions. We have one for health, one for education, tourism, and agriculture. Right now, we're in the healthcare breakout section, and I'll be navigating back to agriculture as they are starting right now.
The entire chat room, the break rooms have only 2.5 hours to discuss. So we have ample time, I would say. But this particular discussion is surrounding agriculture, and we have our presenter here. Everybody knows her. Is Minister Jenny Cooper, well versatile, well-to-do, well-educated, philanthropist, you name it. An individual who continues to sacrifice for the Republic of Liberia and its people, and we have her here to present. She will be our guest speaker, I would say, for today. So I would now give the floor over to our guest speaker, and my name is Arthur Wiado. I live in the Washington, D.C. belt, and also I work at the Johns Hopkins Hospital branch in Bethesda, Maryland. And I was just awarded the Humanitarian and Community Service Award by Johns Hopkins just in February. So I'm so happy to be here today. Madam Cooper, you can take over.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Mr. Dole. Thank you for the introduction. Welcome to everybody. Y'all, please excuse the quality of my voice, which decided to depart the rest of me 2 days ago, and is just trying small to be coming back. So I prepared a presentation because I want to talk to you all about the opportunities that are there in agriculture and what we are doing from the government of Liberia side under President Dole.
That's a good one.
See, that's what happened when your moderator has two presidential deeds. Ria and Dole. So, under President Wia's leadership, on this National Unification Day. So on the screen in front of you, you have the first slide, and this is showing a group of farmers, a group of communities of farmers in an area called Makona River in the northwestern corner of Foya District in northern Liberia. And they are using an improved technology for planting rice, which is to seed and germinate the rice on trays first, and then you take those trays out for planting rather than just throwing it out in the method that we call broadcasting. This particular community has been producing rice in this area using age-old techniques for more than 400 years. They are born it in their DNA. There's about 11 or 15, maybe by now. Last year there were 11, with several more trying to join villages in that area, and they all produce rice. And they come together under one title, Makona River Farms, and it's a group that the government is looking at how we can support them to scale up to help us feed the country. So the next slide that I will put here is a slide representing what is called the Upper Guinea forests. And I'm going this way because when we're talking about the opportunity in agriculture, we're talking about financing as well. And we need to understand what our endowment is for agriculture. The forests of Liberia, the last remaining large intact tracts of forested land in Western Africa, representing close to half of the Upper Guinea forest in West Africa. You can see the dark green and the green that in our national anthem we say green be our fame. That's it there. You can see from Guinea all the way to Togo. And if you expand, even if you go as far as Senegal and go to the east as far and southeast as far as Cameroon, Liberia will still stand out for its green. So we have this huge forest endowment. We have this huge green endowment. Again, I want you to look at this global map, which is a map of carbon stocks. And the dark green represent the best carbon stocks in the world. And globally, you will see the Amazon is a little lighter. The Congo Basin is quite dark green. And oh, look at little Liberia down there, shining green and bright with its carbon, its natural capital. And according to global estimates done by Conservation International, the forests in northern Liberia have some of the highest density of above ground biomass carbon in the world, higher even than in the Amazon rainforest. So we have this, and we've been keeping this, and we've been mining it for the last 200, 400 years. Again, I'm talking about carbon, but the total carbon, forest carbon that was mapped in 2015 by Conservation International put Liberia at 15 billion tons of carbon with our green forests. 15 billion with a B. And as one of the last remaining countries in West Africa with such high carbon stocks, it's important that we maintain these forests. But our leadership in protecting this critical global asset must be empowered by the investment capital and financial resources that will catalyze our national development and reduce any pressure that we have on this valuable ecosystem. Because Liberia is West Africa's most important carbon sink, and it's the most important biodiversity hotspot. So we have an opportunity, green, 4 ways, natural capital valuation in our wealth calculations. When we calculate GDP, we only look at our human capital and we don't look at our natural capital. Our natural capital includes our forests and all of the natural assets that we have in Liberia. And I'm not even talking about the subsoil assets of our mineral resources. If we were to add that, we would have a different picture of the Liberia that's
Okay. Dr. Mita, is it Ilhami? I might have not pronouncing your name correctly. Are you still with us? Maybe not. Okay. We'll give a few minutes, or maybe we should just go ahead and have Dr. Cooper go. Dr. Cooper, then go ahead and start with your presentation. We'll go ahead and get you started, and maybe by the time you're completed, our other panelists may have joined us. So please go ahead. Yeah, continue.
Thank you. I believe we will wait for my colleague from the ministry, Dr. Logan.
Yes.
If you would like to get started, though, I can.
Yes, you may go ahead and do that.
Back on this, in the tourism sector, in the tourism breakout. If we were to raise $10 million for the sector, what would it be used for? What would the challenges associated with that money? And how can we resolve those
You were breaking up, so I didn't get all of it. But if we had $10 million, what I would like to see those monies being invested to, first of all, importantly to me, will be in farming, particularly rice, in the area of producing rice. Because
so we're talking tourism. Yeah, we're talking tourism.
I'm sorry for being tourism. We just been going back and forth. That's why I was saying agriculture.
Okay, my name is, hello? Hello?
Yeah, we're listening.
Yeah, my name is Emmanuel. I just want to make a quick point because I'll be boarding a flight right now. I think what we need to do, yeah, I'm boarding a flight from, I'm in Haiti, I'm in the Caribbean. I work in the Caribbean, but I'm going to the States on vacation. So my flight will be in a minute, but I just want to make this point. I will still follow when I get to New York. I just want to make this point to Brother Charles. I think what we can do now from this group is form a working body from this educational
Mr. Wapo, are you there?
At this point, I would like to talk about the Healthcare Federation of Liberia, of which I am the chair. The Healthcare Federation of Liberia was founded to better organize the multitudes of private health businesses that are arising in Liberia. We've organized ourselves into one unifying body, which represents all non-state-owned health businesses. And that would be in pharma, in labs, insurance, hospitals and clinics, consultancies, training institutions, any group whose primary business is in the healthcare space and they are not owned by government falls under the purview, or as I like to say, the constituency of the Healthcare Federation of Liberia. We have membership that is based on institutions. So for example, a private facility, a private healthcare consulting company would be an institutional member. We have professional associations like the Medical and Dental Association, like the PA Association, the Lab Tech Association, and then we have institutional associations like the Association of Insurance Companies is one of our members as well. So this is what the constitution of the Healthcare Federation is, and that is the role of the Federation. So the majority of care in Liberia is still being given presumptively without a trained healthcare provider. And unfortunately, these are things that are happening in the private sector. I put this pyramid here to explain the fact that the majority of care is not even happening anywhere near a trained healthcare provider. It's happening in small neighborhood shops that are called medicine stores. These are distinguished from actual pharmacies, which have to have a pharmacist at least registered supervising from time to time, even if they are not on site all the time. Pharmacies have to have a registered pharmacist with them. Medicine stores are more supposed to be for sales of over-the-counter medications, but the distinction between over-the-counter and prescription becomes very blurred at times in the country. We have to remember the fact that right now, at this point in our history, over 65% of our population is under the age of 25 years old, which means that the majority of our country has grown up during a period where we have a relative absolute lack of health providers. So in the lifetime of most of our population right now, they have not been able to easily access a trained healthcare professional. And so the trend has therefore become, go to the closest health-like facility in your neighborhood, which is most likely a medicine store that is staffed by a salesperson, and seek care there. So most care is being sought at medicine stores. Then you have the care that's being sought at a slightly higher level, which is labs and pharmacies. Now, labs and pharmacies theoretically should have some type of trained healthcare staff, but they are not a provider. So a lab may do your malaria test, but that is not a person that should be diagnosing you and treating you. The same for a pharmacist. They may be able to advise you about medication, but they should not be prescribing medication. Those that go one step beyond going to a lab and pharmacy are treated in basic clinics. Basic clinics do have healthcare providers, trained healthcare providers, but the amount of diagnostic and therapeutic capacity they have varies. Then you have even a smaller cater of specialty clinics, which have your lab, maybe X-ray, ultrasound, and a more extensive lab than what the basic clinic would have. And that is where you start to get a higher quality of care. But you also notice that that's towards the top of the pyramid. So that's a relative small minority of care that's being given there. And an even smaller minority is being given in actual hospitals, where you may have a doctor and not just an allied health professional or a mid-level provider, for example, like we say with physician assistants, or nurses who are practicing. Even though the designation of nurse practitioner does not exist in Liberia, we do have nurses who are trained and certified in various fields to provide certain levels of care, and some of those work in the basic clinic. So now we have the hospital level at the very top, where you would have actual physicians, sometimes specialist physicians as well. But as you see here, that is a very small proportion of the care that's being given. So let's look at some of the characteristics of the Liberian.
9% of Liberian agriculture is off-grid. That means to say it's using alternative sources of energy, more than likely generators and diesel operated generators. We're slowly moving into solar, and I think Mahmoud is also doing some of that, and that's what we're looking to do more of, solar and hydro energy. So I mentioned the agri-poles, and I want to highlight this project. It's something that's being done by Liberians in the diaspora. Dr. William Hare and a team of Liberian engineers have been doing this work at the University of DC. And for those of you who are in the DC area, you can visit their farms, the UDC community farms in Beltsville and in Germantown. Wonderful, wonderful work. And I'm so happy to say here today that what you see on these slides, although not generally, these pictures are not from Liberia, they have established 2 points. 2 diaspora organizations have established 2 farms like this in Liberia in the last 2 months. One is at the Booker Washington Institute, and it gives us this, what is called this triple yield, the solar energy, providing water, and then growing food and irrigation, potable water for drinking, as well as water for irrigation. At BWI, you can go there today and see the project that was financed by the BWI Alumni Association in the Americas. They financed it, I think, with about $40,000 and started this project. Today, BWI campus has 24/7 water and electricity, and this was done by a diaspora organization who meant to see this kind of transformation. We can do this. There's a second farm, and they're growing food with it, and they're taking the next step, to feed their animals, and then use the manure and other things to compost the food waste, and then generate additional energy and fertilizer, organic fertilizer. It's a beautiful system, and it's been set up in BWI, and also the Scorpion Investment Group, which is another diaspora organization from Huntington University, has established a similar farm on 10 acres right outside of Harrisburg, doing the same thing. So food, water, and energy all provided in a small, compact way that matches our needs. Because the large projects which we are looking at take time to come on board, and meantime, the population is not helped. So these small integrated distributed utilities network farms produce 5 to 25 kilowatts of sustainable renewable energy, produce 100,000 gallons of water per day for 20 years for drinking, sanitation, hygiene, food production, and safety. In communities of less than 5,000 persons per system, the cost is 50 to 100,000, depending on the size of the system and how how large you want it to be and how expanded you want it to be. And it's resilient because you can decentralize this, you can replicate this hundreds of times throughout the country and show a serious impact. And this is coming from diaspora cooperation with the Ministry of Agriculture and agricultural actors in the country. This one is a is an agricultural processing zone that the government is trying to put in place in 3 parts of the country, where we will have those mini IDUNs, but on a much larger scale, where you will be able to have processing of cereals, pulses, oil seeds, and plantation crops, milk, dairy, livestock, and fish. You will have a utility zone you see on the left, fruits, vegetables, tubers, and other horticultural crops, and a center of excellence for training and processing. But the government is sourcing funding or has sourced funding. We're looking to start with that very soon. These special agricultural processing zones in 3 areas. One is
Michelle, can you speak a bit louder? We're challenged a bit on the size of the sound. Thank you.
Okay, I'll get closer to my laptop. Hi everyone, I'm Michelle. Michelle Johnson. I'm in Dallas, Texas right now. I have a background in marketing and PR. I currently work in IT and project management and IT. And I also own a travel agency here in the States. I do agree with everyone that coordination is very important. Just without that concise plan, the right people on board, and then just creating those standardized practices just would be ideas. It wouldn't be well coordinated and looked at as having that quality tourism in the area. Also, collaboration is important. With that coordination, just making sure that other parties or investors are collaborating together to boost tourism as well. One thing that Sylvester touched on that I haven't quite heard a lot about here is the challenges with the infrastructure and the roads. In order to have people come to those, hotels, shopping places, the concerts, festivals, adventure tours, they need to be able to get there. They need easy access to get there. So I think roads are very important, as well as access to making it more accessible for businesses to invest and create those tourism opportunities in Liberia. And then lastly, I think someone touched on, to go on infrastructure, someone touched on the checkpoints. It would be great to see all counties have like the specific areas and checkpoints that say, okay, well, this county is known for this, these type of activities, or this was available. So those checkpoints would be great and would create just a standardized approach to tourism. But that's all I had to add there.
Awesome. Okay, so now before we get to use the card, we'll go to Zone 3 of the link.
Hey, yeah, I think her point is definitely right and exact when it comes to the roads. I also think though, if you do a convention, right, say a 2-week convention, most focused on like tech, investment, and music, similar to like a South by Southwest, right? And focus on podcasters, bringing them out, doing the interviews on site here, because yeah, I know the roads are bad and stuff like that, but if you like say for instance, there's a podcast called Earn Your Leisure, right? I'm always talking about these guys because they had Steve Harvey on there. Matter of fact, the sister was talking about Steve Harvey talking about the UAE, right? And if I'm correct, that snippet came from the what is that called? From the Earn Your Leisure interview, right? So they also interviewed Rick Ross. They're just interviewing everybody that's kind of like making money. So what I would think is if you would do a series of these podcasts during the convention, this money, this 10 million, needs to be spent on these influencers. One, to come do the podcast in Liberia. Two, to bring on the relevant guests, right? Because you got people like Akon that could be interviewed, right, on a Earn Your Leisure or something similar to that. Though he's not Liberian, what happens is now you got people from all around the Mono River, all around West Africa traveling over, right, to be a part of this annual experience. So I would break that 10 million up though. I would make sure that, you know, I would look at maybe 2.5 over the course of 4 years, right? Because you're going to recoup your money back through what? The content. The content is king, right? Isn't content king? That's what they say. Content is king. Once that content goes out, right? You know, these different interviews, and I'm only naming one podcaster, but you got Nigerian podcasters, right? So I would, again, like say if we did a 2-week convention, because the whole thing is like a similar South by Southwest, and the sisters in Dallas, I know Austin's a little distance from there, but it's like a similar South by Southwest, but you get all your podcasts. You want them because, again, that's going to get you your views, that's going to get them talking, and then, you know, and now that's easy to simulate the backgrounds, right? You know, you can shoot that at what, you know, anywhere, Cape, Mamba, right? You know, you just got to see in the back, right? And that's gonna really help, you know, one, you know, show the beautiful side of Liberia, right? And then get those investors, get those what do you call movers and shakers on the ground, right? So that's another big piece when you put together a festival like that or a convention like that. Now you're getting the money people on the ground, right? So they're seeing opportunities, and that's why I would spread it over the course of the budget. I would spread over the course of at least 4 years, because by that fourth year, you'll really begin. One, the views are out of this world now. Tourism is starting to pick up, right? You know, and then by, I think, default infrastructure will start getting laid out. But yeah, you know, that's some of the ideas that, you know, the brother Dentut and I have been kicking around in regards to what we think could stimulate tourism, and then, you know, then filter down to other industries. And thank you.
Archie, would you like to go ahead and speak to, well, no, let's go ahead and do zone 3 viewing. Go ahead, please. I see your hands raised. If your hand is not raised, you can take your hand down. And then I'll go ahead and read Archie's comments. He says tourism should be viewed holistically. There should be a separate ministry, must be established, transportation, airport roads, logistics, roadmap and high-level hotel design of the various hotel as a standalone functioning entity, such as electricity, water, and internet. The branding will take care of the county's attractions on tourism and global publicity. Choose an annual program, reoccurring every event every year, dry season, rainy season, and so on. But I'd like to ask Juanita, Director of Tourism, if you can just talk to us a little bit more about what Liberia has to offer and what you would like to see, where you would like to see tourism go. I think you might have Minister Bagalion with you, so if you all can speak to that. We can't hear you. I think you might be on mute. Juanita?
Okay, thanks again, once again for the opportunity. I think my first man, the minister, just spoke on that, or you spoke on tourism, what tourism has to offer.
But
so
can we hear from the minister though?
Okay,
is it possible to hear? I'm sorry, Minister Lance. Okay, let me introduce Minister Lance Bagalion. He is the Deputy Minister of Culture and Tourism at the Ministry of Information, Culture, Affairs, and Tourism. So together, he's sitting there with Director of Tourism, Ms. Juanita Ya, and they are really the ones, you know, driving the tourism development project that's currently going on in Liberia. So Minister Lance, we want to give you the platform to speak a little bit about what's happening now, and then we can, you know, continue from that point.
Thank you. I think with the support of RTC and our international partners, also on some level of support for the government, also with the involvement of my team members, the US some agreements have been made in the sector. For the first time in Liberian history, we can also having a national tourism policy and master plan. We also having a tourism marketing and branding strategy, We are also having a national tourism website. We are also having coastal tourism development action plan. We are also having a deeper assessment on our visa regime. We are also having introducing a bill that seeks to establish a semi-autonomous national tourism authority that will detach tourism and culture on the Ministry of Information, Culture, and Tourism. Currently, we are strongly engaged in our branding and marketing activities. Thanks to the RTC for the support, and also to you that have been appointed as a local consultant on that project. And we're about to launch My Liberia project, and that project focuses on projecting the positive image of Liberia, the positive value of Liberia, not too much negativity. We intend for the private sector to take the lead in that direction. We believe the private sector should be the driver and the engine for sustaining the tourism sector. We are also implementing the RTC for a 500,000 tourism investment project that seeks to do some upgrading at the Chifansi Island in Basho. We also build a tourism information booth at Rabat International Airport. They also seek to construct a safe house in Rabat schools and build an airport lodge along Rabat school. So that has been happening in the sector. And to the question that you can ask, if we are given 10 million, I wish the 10 million already in the bank now, and we just instruct Esther and the team to go in the field to continue the marketing and branding exercise. I think everybody spoke what is in our mind. Firstly, one of the areas that would invest that money is to have, the already said, a semi-autonomous national tourism authority that will detach the ministry or tourism and culture from the Ministry of Information. That would help to solve the issue of coordination across the rural sector. The next one is my brother spoke of 19 or 2033, and after some time there was no people. I think we are in 2022. The land has changed. Marshall is open, Bikana is open, Rabosco is open, Nima is open, Bomikante is open, but again, there's a need to also upgrade tourism infrastructure in terms of destination across the country. And also for what should we play on improving roads leading to tourism destination. The next one is accommodation, Oxa Monrovia, Oxa selected county capitals. It need to also construct airport lodges, low income accommodation across those countries so that people that will go in those areas can have a decent place to actually relax. Another issue is sanitation. Sanitation is a major challenge. I think the last time Esther and my team will have a lengthy discussion how to address the issue of poor sanitation across tourism destinations. There's a need to have a serious waste and sanitation management system that will help
to train teachers. Yes, we can probably do that simultaneously when we have the standards, so we're putting it in connection with teacher training, but we're talking about what's presently needed. We need teachers at the elementary level. We need teachers at the primary level. We need teachers at daycare centers, at a daycare center, because that's where it starts. We need all of these things. So while we're waiting to get all the standards in place, we also need to have the training base for these teachers. Because like I said, we just got this $21 million supposedly grant from the USAID for teachers that are going to be for teachers education for eight higher education institutions that have been identified, including where I am at the AMEU. But the thing is, we really need to find out from them how much are they willing to will be allocated for these teachers. Because when we get our statistics, it's going to be so far short of what they're really proposing to give to the teachers. So these are some of the things that we need to talk about. Some of the NGOs that come over here and want to help Liberia. Yes, we want to help Liberia, but they don't come with their sustainable plans. if they had sustainable plans, some of these things wouldn't be thought about it here. Because I remember vividly when I was here in 2013, we did have a scripted reading curriculum for teachers who don't even know how to read. And what happened to that program? It phased out. No talk, no nothing was said. It just phased out and left those teachers hanging. So these are things that we need to really talk about when people come like, okay, we understand you want to help Liberia, you want to help the teachers. Yes, what sustainable plans do you have that when you leave here, our teachers can stand by themselves? You know, so this is what I'm talking about. So if we can, in this forum now, if all of us educators can get together and say, okay, we see their needs, their challenges, let's take at least one phase of it. Do you understand what I'm saying, Mrs. March? One phase of it, and let's hone into that one phase. Let's perfect that one phase, and then we move on. But we just all over the place, this one pulling this pulling this. But let's focus on something, because I don't care what school building you have, the environment can be conducive. If you don't have adequate teachers to teach, we're nowhere. We're nowhere. We knew how we grew up. We knew the teachers we had. So if we didn't have those teachers, where would we be today? So we need to speak about that.
Well said, Dr. Stevens. So we will jump back to Dr. Davidson, but we're coming back to what Dr. Stevens is saying, because when we are in that open forum after his presentation, we will definitely take on all of these. So Dr. Stevenson, go ahead with your video.
All right, thank you very much. So I'm just gonna, show the video, and then from there I can start talking about some of the things that I like to share out to this group moving forward. All right. So this video is about Rotel, about what we're doing in Liberia here with Rotel, and what we could do better if we, work together to make it more efficient. So I'm gonna, can I share my screen? Okay.
Oh, we can't hear it.
Can you hear it?
No, we can't hear the video, Dr. Stevenson.
There's no audio. Oh, there's no audio. Yeah. Oh my God.
Look on the screen. There should be a place for the audio.
Hold on. Let me see. Why can't there be audio right now? Wait, say. Okay. So.
Play the video again. Let's see.
All right. Can you hear now?
Okay. Oh, okay. The sound came and went.
How about now?
Use their creative energies into solving real world problems.
Can you hear now?
Yeah, now it's okay.
All right, so let me take it backwards so you can decide from the beginning.
I believe that African-made technological solutions are the key to Liberia's future success. I founded Breakout House of Innovation in order to provide Liberian innovators and entrepreneurs a place where they can put their creative energies into solving real world problems using technology. At Rotel, you do not need a degree or special qualification in order to acquire the skills you need to become an innovator. We meet you at your level of understanding and take you to the top where you transform yourself and your community.
Diversity creates innovation. Providing women with the skills they need to compete in the tech field creates a more dynamic environment where creative thoughts can flourish.
The Nuclear House of Innovation is building the next generation of thinkers.
Are you ready to start a journey into the field of technology? Then join us at Breakout House of Innovation.
Okay, so I'm gonna just stop the series and come back to the update to the unit. So were we able to see the video, everyone?
Yes.
Yeah. All right. So I just wanted to talk to Charles Howard and Saduke. That if Roto can do it in Liberia here, we can all do it as well, right? We don't have to really wait for you know what I mean, so special invitation to come over to get that. My name is Dr. Davidson. I grew up in the UK, in Brighton, to be specific. I worked with Google for over 5 years, and so when I came to Liberia here, all the World Health Organizations, you know what I mean, so I was a technical expertise for that program here at the time, and so I used the opportunity to interact with local Liberians, you know, when it comes to data management, when it comes to even the for the food and the internet and so on and so forth. And I realized that, I mean, there's a large population in Liberia, especially the youth, that don't have no tech knowledge. All right, that's why the existence of, you know, tech institutions like SARS, like Breakout, and you know, some of these universities that are here. But you see, the large portions of Liberian populations, are tech illiterate, right? I mean, I'm sorry for that strong word, but it's a fact, right? So that really encouraged me, you know, when we're back to the UK, that encouraged me to come back to the country and open Breakout Innovation House so we can be able to provide a space where young Liberians can acquire these wonderful skills that they can use to transform themselves and transform their community. I think what to provide also, if you go to Google Play Store or you go to Apple Store, you'll see different apps that are doing different that are helping different things. So you know, pushing country forwards around the world. Like for example, India, China, Kenya, Rwanda, in these wonderful countries. Tech is, you know, they're using tech to boost the economy, to push their country in the right trajectory, and change lives, right? But when you look at those apps on the Play Store, you can find none that are Liberians that are made by Liberians there, right? And not because Liberians are not willing or don't have the desire to do that, but because there's no skill set that are built in there to be able to achieve this. And this is why we have something brought down, so we can be able to, you know, empower these youths, give them the skill sets, and once they acquire these skills, we've got partners that are in the UK that we can connect them so that they can get employed. Why they live in Liberia there, right? So I feel this is it's a wonderful contribution to our country, to the educational systems in the country, and what this is not government effort, right? It's an individual effort, right? So if all of us that has good technology in the diaspora can actually think of what we can do, right? You know, to help our people here move forward, I think, you know, all these complaints that we're hearing here and there will be there, right? And although there are many challenges, right? You've got the poor internet connectivity, you've got poverty, so some of these youth really can have the funds to be able to access some of the programs that Rotel offers, and so on and so forth. But that shouldn't stop us from coming back home to be able to, you know, walk to, you know, put the country forward. Okay. I know there are a lot of things that we can do, and I know there are a lot of things that I know all of you can do, but we just have to find a niche. We just have to find a path to be able to, you know, start that stuff and move it forward. Just quickly before I round up, I know I'm talking too much right now. When we talk about curriculum, all right? I mean, having a standardized curriculum or the Liberian curriculum not being efficient or effective enough to drive the country forward, I think that it's not really about curriculum right now, right? you could have your curriculum for wherever you're from, what country you're coming from. You're coming from UK, you're coming from America. All you need is an integration. How do you integrate your standard curriculum, all right, with the core curriculum in the country, all right, and blend it together in a way that we can use it to move the country forward, educate our children and our youth, on standard education, right? So so that's really some of the things that we're trying to work on here, right? In order.
I traveled recently to Liberia and had some opportunities to observe how some of the challenges are affecting, the everyday person in Liberia in accessing care recently. But basically, we in the diaspora who are providers would like to figure out a way how we can partner to affect and help out with improving the health sector, where we're all in the diaspora working, and we would really want to assist in any way possible remotely. Now, the telemedicine sector has boomed and accelerated exponentially since the pandemic. And I just want to kind of put it out there to see how we could leverage this platform, all of us providers or graduates from the medical school, to affect a connection with all the different community centers, healthcare centers, and in that way, utilize all our skills that we have acquired over the years to help. So I'm just gonna throw it out there to say that we're in the diaspora would really like to figure out a way that we can kind of connect with all the different organizations, the medical boards, to see how we can be an effective branch to the healthcare development in Liberia. Specifically, I am a psychiatrist, and that's another area that I feel is challenged in Liberia. I'm not quite sure what the number of psychiatrists exist currently. I don't know if anyone out there can has that information, but I feel like that's an area that needs to be addressed. We need to kind of attract graduates from other colleges. I graduated from Morehouse School of Medicine here in Atlanta. I would like to be involved in forming some connection to see how we can bridge that gap where behavioral health is lacking in Liberia. And this I feel is needed because of our history, our recent history over the past 10, 15 years of civil unrest that has definitely affected the mental well-being of every single Liberian. I feel like that is an area that needs to be addressed seriously. So I just want to open up the floor to anyone who has some questions or any comments or anything that they want to add. I also have in this room someone that I've worked with in my small practice, Dr. Myra Ahimi. She's a psychologist that works at Magnolia Integrated Health. And she may have a few words to say, because she and I always sit around and we talk about how can we help Liberia, how can we maybe assist by applying for grants and different things. So she may have a few words to say as well.
So again, I'm happy to be here to entertain any questions, any comments, and just to see how we in the diaspora, as a group of providers, can assist Liberia in making the health sector.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Barkley. We appreciate that your presentation. You're right that mental health is a huge issue there, especially as we look at the struggles and the problems that we're having with the young people living in graveyards. Dr. Jala also expressed that that was a huge area, and so we really need some support in that area, and we appreciate that you're willing to come to Liberia and start. Dr. Elfimi, I will give you a few minutes to speak. Please share with us some of your thoughts.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. And good morning, everyone. Yes, to sort of piggyback on what Dr. Barclay was speaking of, we would definitely love to partner, maybe through grants and a different, other methods to look at the disparity in mental health. Even here in the United States, there is a lot of need, but also more so, I know my husband is from Nigeria, and so I do know outside of the United States, oftentimes there are not as many resources. So we would love to put our heads together, put our expertise together, and see how can we assist the individuals back in Liberia to access healthcare, to access mental health. And one thing, I know COVID has impacted everyone across the globe, but one thing COVID has done in terms of healthcare is opened up the acceptance of the virtual platform to provide the services. So we're definitely interested, and so we're just excited to have the opportunity to put our heads together and see what can we do to bridge that gap and to provide healthcare through telemed, telehealth, etc. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Yomi. I appreciate your comment, your presentation on and your what you have to add to this discussion. We are going to look at the challenges that we have. Two questions that we're going to address from our discussion based on some of the issues that were raised, and I know there's a lot of questions in the chat, so we're going to get there. But as we do this, I just wanted to keep in mind, if we're able to raise $10 million for the healthcare sector right now, what would it be used for? And what would be the challenges associated with that money? And how would we resolve those challenges? So that's our first challenge. And then in challenge 2, we're going to look at thinking about the problems that we've heard repeated through our conversation with regards to the healthcare sector. How can we bring change using the $10 million? What bold actions can we take right now to change and come up with some solutions to some of the situations that we've heard? And what would be the accountable next steps? Who would hold accountable, and what would be some good bold next steps that we could take in solving these issues? So we're going to keep those questions in mind as we jump into the discussion. So if you have any questions at this point, please put it in the chat. We'll start engaging participants and going through with this. I think there was some conversation. Dr. Stella Jeffries had some questions in the beginning, and I know she's also in the healthcare industry. I want to welcome all of you guys for being here today too. It's a very important discussion, and I see that we have quite a bit of participants, almost 30 people on the line right now. So I'm seeing a question here. Someone said they used to work at let's see here. They used to work in the Redemption Hospital.
Hello, Representative.
Yeah, is that you, Frida? Yeah, you have a question? Yeah.
I wanted to attempt to answer or give a brief answer from my perspective to one of your questions, if I may.
Sure.
I did comment quite a lot in the chat only because I'm passionate about the Liberian healthcare sector, and I've been fortunate to have worked not only in the public side of things, as stated, I worked at Redemption Hospital for about 3 years, along with Yale University on a larger grant capacity building, and I worked specifically trained masters in healthcare administration, so I worked from the healthcare management and policy side of things. In regards to how can we bring about the change using the money, that second question, and what kind of who and what are accountable those steps. I may be biased, and I have to say this. I am a healthcare administrator, so I would say that I would like some of that money, not all, of course, to be focused on building that accountability. And just to further explain what I mean by that is that I think it starts with our leaders, the people who we have leading the healthcare institutions, and making decision makers, basically. From what I've experienced, having worked in the Liberian healthcare sector for about 6 years before now, being relocated to the States, a lot of our supervisors, managers, healthcare leaders are clinical, and they find themselves in leadership roles out of necessity, but they haven't actually received or ever been exposed to proper sort of leadership and management training. And leadership and management, in my experience, are two different things. And a lot of the gaps that have been highlighted, not only in Dr. Cooper's presentation, but in the chief medical officer's conversation about the issues at the Ministry of Health, I think those gaps are representative of mismanagement. And who do we hold accountable to that? Well, the folks that are making the decisions, the folks that are leading. When you think about supply chain and some of the issues there, and some of the solutions. So I would be biased. I also worked at the University of Liberia. They do now have a public health school. I helped to get that off the ground. And within that public health school, I will look at investing some of that money in our health systems leaders. That health systems leadership program is meant to take existing existing leaders, so executives that are either working in the hospital. Some of them are brand new to health, but it's meant to, they lead with an MPH in health systems leadership. Those are the people who, should be leading our institutions, making those not clinical decisions, those management decisions, what to invest in, why are gloves leaving the hospital? So when patients come, they gotta buy their own gloves, they gotta buy their own alcohol and things like that. Without belaboring the point, I would say that investing in leadership education, management education in the healthcare sector is equally as important as focusing on getting in those specialists, et cetera. Thank you.
Thank you. Those are some great points. I mean, we do hear a lot of complaints within our healthcare system that when people come, they have to buy everything or things are just disappearing. I think recently there was something from the U.S. Embassy or something about how they are providing drugs, but the drugs are not in the pharmacies or in the healthcare, the medical facilities. So yeah, we do need to look at inventory loss and all of that. So I think that's a great point. Thank you for sharing that. There's a question in here about violence against women and, any kind of gender-based violence. Who would like to talk a little bit about that? I don't know, maybe from the Ministry of Health. Dr. Logan, could you talk about that, or maybe Dr. Cooper?
Oh, sorry, please come again. I didn't get the question clear.
Okay, Dr. Logan, I'm asking, there was a question in the chat about violence against women, gender-based violence. Can you talk a little bit about that and what type of programs are currently in the health ministry to support women who have been abused by rape and other type of domestic violence?
Okay, thank you so much. I'm so grateful that you asked this question. Here in the Ministry of Health, we have a full strategy in addressing issues surrounding violence or SGBV for that matter. As a matter of fact, we have the adolescent sexual reproductive health and right. It is a human right also. There's a whole program we have for that because the teenage pregnancy situation in our country. In fact, teenage fertility have gone to 10% in the country, with the highest number coming from Riverside and then other counties like Grand Bassa or Kidman following. So here at the Ministry of Health, in collaboration with our partner, we have this adolescent sexual and reproductive health and right. Under that, there are several activity areas taken into consideration to address the problem. One is the have to do with what we call the one-stop center in the hospital. So in the area hospital, in situation where we have issues surrounding sexual and gender-based violence, that little girl, they take that woman is taken to the hospital immediately, and from there, once she gets treated at the hospital, probably some of which might even require DNA specimen as well. You also have the legal people there as well, including the Ministry of Justice representative, which will be the police and others, to make sure that after we have done our part, related to health, they can also proceed to the judicial aspect of it. So we have support in the ministry to address issue around that. But yes, it is true, sexual and gender-based violence is a problem. In fact, if you look at our demographic and health survey, up to 42% is associated with intimate partner violence in our country. So we acknowledge that it is a problem, but at a sector level, because remember what we're talking about is not only related to health. There's a gender aspect to it. There's a social protection aspect to it. So for the health aspect, we have a strategy in collaboration with our partner, and that strategy has been scaled up to all of our health facilities to address situations of that nature. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Logan. I also want to get Dr. Cooper involved in this. How would you like to respond to that?
Thank you. I actually had my hand up for the previous comment about how we would invest $10 million if we had it.
Sure, well, go ahead.
So I think as our bossman, everybody bossman, because he's a deputy CMO for the whole country, Dr. Logan mentioned, as I'm sure he would actually know, when we say we have $10 million in Liberia, we need to understand where it comes from. Every $10 million in the health sector is not. First of all, I'm sorry, I apologize if you hear background noise. Today's a holiday in Liberia, and we know our people like to enjoy their holidays. So our neighbors are enjoying themselves. I apologize in advance. I will try to speak up. I usually don't have a problem projecting my voice. So, as Dr. Logan will probably be aware, when we say we have $10 million, we need to understand where is it coming from, and are there any strings attached to it. So ideally, if we raise $10 million, it would be a no strings attached $10 million that does not come with an agenda from a donor. So we would have to start there to know that it's an unencumbered $10 million that is there for us. This is always a factor in Liberia for us to think about it. Now, I know this is a hypothetical situation, but I want us to think about the fact that this has consistently been a factor. The color of the money, as they usually say in the donor community, is very important to know, because that affects what you are technically allowed to use your money for. Now, once we assume that this is uncolored money, it can be used openly. Then we have to think about how do we use this money in a way that it perpetuates itself. Many of us, or hopefully many of us on this call, understand some basic personal finance concepts, where if you receive $10 million, you should not take it to go and borrow. Your $10 million should gain you more millions of dollars moving forward. So my first response would be, if we have 10 million unencumbered dollars, we need to, number one, do not donate it. Do not donate $10 million, because you donate it, it sits, it bleeds out, and it's gone. Invest it sustainably into something that perpetuates health services ongoing. Dr. Logan mentioned something that is happening in the ministry that I think is monumental. He did mention it, but I think that it's worth re-mentioning, and maybe if we could even expand on it. Two things that he mentioned. that I picked up on because I had heard about them before, and I know that they're very important and will be important things the ministry is doing for the country. Number one, he mentioned the revolving drug fund that Liberia is starting. Dr. Logan, you can come in afterwards and correct me, please. But I believe it's starting towards the end of the year. This was a brainchild, or the reviving of the revolving drug fund is a brainchild of our current Minister of Health, Honorable Dr. Wilhelmina Jala. And the concept, as far as it has been explained to me, is for communities to pitch in small amounts of money towards purchasing drug stock for their community clinic. And that along with some funding from the ministry, purchases an initial stock for their clinic, which when they come to use those drugs at the hospital, they pay a very small amount. They pay basically the wholesale price for those drugs, just to keep money flowing into the fund so the drugs can be repurchased. Now, these are the same citizens who have gone to their community clinic before and been told there was no drug, and they had to go out and purchase at retail price. So now, because of their first-hand experience, they understand why it's important to be able to pay wholesale price, and they're willing to contribute that small, almost like the old school hot tax, if you will, to get it started, so that from there on, they can at least pay a cheaper price, rather than going across to, I'm not going to name the pharmacies, but they know themselves, that pitch their tent directly opposite public facilities to leech off of, those mismanagements in the system. So rather than going out there and paying retail price, they can pay wholesale price. That is going to make a huge difference for Liberia. So a fund like that is a place where some of that money should go. Dr. Logan also mentioned, I believe, and I definitely need him to expand on this one because I haven't heard too much about it, but I believe I heard him mention something about the beginning of a health insurance fund, which I think I will hand over to him. Of course, as has been mentioned earlier, training. I would strongly, as much as I'm a physician, I am a specialist, I'm actually a double specialist. I would actually put the majority of our money towards training solid, mid-level, and general practitioners. I think it is important to have specialists, but the majority of patients don't need specialists. The vast majority of patient care can be handled by a general physician because specialists are few, because specialty cases are few. Most people do not have complications. Most people have general medical issues that can be handled by a mid-level provider who is well-trained or a general practitioner. So I would actually put a good chunk of that money into expanding the number of mid-level providers who are well-trained, which includes going back to basic education. Because when you reach a PA school, or if we develop nurse practitioners, that type of school, you can only train the substrate that you have. If this person can barely read or write, what quality of provider are they going to ever become? So we perhaps could build pipeline programs that fill in the gaps of those basic education, and then put people in the pipeline to be a strong mid-level provider, to be a strong general practitioner, and then have a strong competitive process for who then gets funded to become a specialist, with the knowledge that we don't need a specialist, right? So from my perspective, I would say putting it into training and putting it into things like what Dr. Logan, I will try to hand over to him to expand a little bit more on those sustainable programs that he mentioned that the ministry is doing. Thank you.
Yeah, I think I need to unpack these things. I just thought there was an introductory statement.
Looking at, you have already invested in purchasing 45 acres. How can we maximize that purchase? How can we link you all the way along the value chain, not just to plant rubber, not just to harvest rubber and then sell it to Firestone, but then to process rubber into something else that is that brings you an even greater value. So I will stop there with those questions.
Thank you so much, Mr. Cooper. Thank you so much, Mr. Cooper. I would take Dr. Beach, I would take Yuri, and I would take Yango. Those are the three I would take. First, we have, if you've already spoken, can you please lower your hand, please. If you already spoken, can you please lower your hand? You can come back later, but we want to give the opportunity to others to voice out to ask questions to raise some concerns. So, Dr. Deep,
Yeah. Miss Minister, I just want to thank you on doing the presentation. Thank you so much. I feel that your heart is truly in what you do, so I just want to thank you. Now, in our family history, back in the 50s or probably earlier, my father was the rubber producer, one of the first rubbers for Firestone, and up to this day, he still produces rubber. I've been in the US for over 35 years, but I have yet to see any rubber manufacturing company in Liberia. Secondly, we have 650 acres of land in Breakout. That's my grandfather's land. And the gentleman that spoke from which county? Is in Bone County. It's actually right on the road. It has everything. But I have been this year I've been aggressively looking for investors because I would like to do some stuff in Liberia. Yeah, it's 650 acres of land. I don't know if you've heard of Breakout, but it's right outside of Hakata. So I'm looking to partner with like-minded people, so we can, help move Liberia forward. Be it real estate, be it farming, be it whatever that's necessary to be on that lane. I would look at maybe farming. I would look at, farming. But it's 650 acres. So with that being said, Aja, if you want to do anything with rubber also,
you talk to Marketplace.
We still produce rubber for Firestone. Our boys, our tappers and workers, we take the rubber.
Talk to them before you make any schedule change.
And we sell it to Firestone. They give us a little, we call it here chicken change. But we hope in the future, in the very near future, those type of companies would start taking advantage of Liberians and do better. And a gentleman that spoke, I would like to meet with him. I am also an assistant professor in the beauty and barber industry. I would like to meet with him, see how we can connect. I believe his name was Mohammed, let's see.
Mohammed Johnson.
Mohammed Johnson. I would like to meet with Mahmoud. Okay, Mahmoud Johnson. I would definitely like to meet with you. I was gonna meet with someone in another African country, but if you're doing that, let's see how if we could have a good working relationship, because that is my area, and I deal with a lot of companies here in the U.S. because that's my line of business, the beauty industry. I think his stuff is muted. So
I just sent you a direct message with my email address, Dr. Deep.
Okay. Okay, I see it. Thank you so much. And the gentleman from Nigeria, the Nigerian gentleman that spoke, if he would please send me his
Getting people in the country and solve a lot of problems. It create money for small businesses. It create money for people trying to build homes back in like Liberia. You have at least 1 million, 1.5 million like out of the country. If you can get 500,000 of them to come home and at least 30,000 of them invest in a 20 or 40,000 dollars house, automatically you already created $7 billion in the trip just from tourism. So it's a very straightforward, and that's how I see it. One is fix the airport to just use our strategy for airport for tourism to fix the airport, include funding for it, which we can do through grant funding. The second piece would be choose 4 logistical area closer to the capital city where the airport is, and build around that immediately with at least the cost of building the first piece of, I would say, 40 to 50 rooms of $1 million a piece, or $2 million a piece, to begin at least the kickoff. So you can say the tourism sector is kicked off, and then use that as a means of public-private partnership development, not build, operate, and transfer, because you do not want the government involved in tourism. And the third piece is the airline branding to create a flagship airline using the tourism sector, and not the government itself. What it does for the country is the tourism sector now is tied to the airport, which then controls the flow of the inflow of people coming from outside the country and within the country. And so I believe this is the first step for me from a roadmap to start generating revenue, and at the same time start showcasing the tourism industry. I'll rest right now. Thank you.
Yeah, I can see I can see that, what we'll call it, that think tank. It's working already. And so I can see this is going to really go where we need it to go. So we really need, we're going to take all this, I know, offline eventually, and then we'll come back through and come back again. But the conversation is amazing. All right, so let's see, is it Dash? Dash.
Yes, thank you. Lot of good suggestions here. But for me, I think one of the short-term milestones we should focus on, I think, is building capacity. So I was very glad, like the minister, he spoke about it, very passionately. Because I have, like I said, I have a very long, working experience in the service industry, and I understand that, being involved in the service industry, the way in which we're informed, the way in which we talk to people, and, other things surrounding it, right? It affects the person overall service experience. You understand? So we need people, we need to make sure people at the airport and other places are very much informed of the things like viewer attraction and stuff like that. And also, they are very service-minded, because these are the first people encounter, right? So if you come to the airport and you encounter people that's very rude towards you, they don't have no understanding of what you can do in the country, just from that point, right? Just from that point, the entire service experience, right? It's kind of hampered a little bit. So I think that, short term, we need to focus on building capacity. I'll give you an example, for example, I school in Ghana, right? And then I haven't been to Ghana for the past 20 years or so. But then if you ask me, right, some of the attractions in Ghana, and I can give you the entire list of it, right? Because the Ghanaians have a schooling system whereby excursions, right? It's part of the curriculum. So every school, right, they've been to a Cosmo, they've been to the Blue, they've been to Takra, they've been to Cape Coast, so they know all of these things. So as a tourist in Ghana, if you get off the airport, you meet somebody, you just ask them, what can I do to explain to them? You get a whole list of stuff. And so we need to go to be informed, about the things, that we have and like doing the things we got to offer. And we also got to make sure that they are very service-minded. And that's one of the things I think I can, be able to contribute, giving my background, to teach a little bit about service, how to properly, talk to guests, and then always trying to do like the little extra in Norwegian, as we say. You have to go like the extra mile for people at times, especially when it's their first time in the country. Yes.
Okay, tourism needs you. And that's where the diaspora becomes really powerful, because the diaspora can come in, and you might not always be about the money, but it's also about giving of your time and of yourself, and that too is it's invaluable. It's money, money in itself. Okay, Minister Lance, before I come to you, let me go ahead and take Serena. Serena?
You talked about a short term, and someone earlier spoke about an event. I'm sure you also the show that the culture team put on in Dubai, and it was great because you saw that people were mesmerized by that, and a lot of us don't know that we are really deep rooted into culture, the guilt, the devils, and all that. So creating an event, as he was saying earlier, could be a way to start because it gives people something to look forward to, especially for Liberians around, or not even just Liberians, but people that are looking and hungry for something. As I'm not sure if a lot of you know about the carnivals that they have around different countries, but people go to that and looking forward to that, and people love a good time. So if we can create something around our culture, displaying something of that nature, and just doing other activities for 3 to 4 days, we can start raising funds that way to then start working on the different tourist areas that we have. So say next year we have this event, not culture something. I'm just thinking. And we have all these people come. We built the momentum, and we have not just our Liberian stars performing, but we have others coming together and just bringing that attention to it and raising funds. We can say, oh, we would pick Patawi Waterfall, for example, and the proceeds that we get, we would develop something around Patawi Waterfall. That's our first goal. And then the following year, we have that event again, but we take it to the next level, and whatever we raise, we can pick another tourist area and develop something around Blue Lake, for example. Develop something around Blue Lake. So I think the event is a great idea.
Brilliant. I love it. I think that's also a very good idea. Now we'll come back and maybe we'll take a vote. Maybe we'll listen out for maybe a few more ideas if there are still more out there. And then we can take a vote on what we could target, and then we'll try to see what we could. Okay. Okay, so did I hear someone speak?
Hello?
Yes, go ahead.
That's just the lens.
Yes, Mr. Lansbury, go ahead.
That what speaker said is about sustainability and how realistic the project will take, will be successful. To take on infrastructure project at this stage is good, but who have that initial capital? Is the government willing to invest some money in it as their share of the or as their contribution? Sorry, I'm the minister, but I'm speaking as a Liberian also. So let me, I think, 2 questions spoke. The first thing would be organize a national event that will attract people annually to Liberia. And the project that will be identified. The national cultural village. The national cultural center.
Richmond, mute your phone.
Can you mute your phone while you speak?
We can organize a national culture inclusive festival and body that is into undertaking a specific project across Liberia. So I think that is a brilliant point. But that will be self-sustaining. It will also give reason why people want to come to visit Liberia annually. We also try to organize one international event, maybe in the States, that will bring Liberians.
I'm sure Representative Ritz can understand. When you represent a constituency, you can only do that if they tell you what is happening. Otherwise, you're just going by what you think is important, right? So we need our facilities and our members to tell us the issues that they are facing. We gather these things into trends, and those trends become the agenda items when we sit at the table with the ministry, we sit at the table with our regulators. We are not fighting with the ministry, we are not fighting with our regulators. We are all working for the same goal. We're all working to improve the health sector. Sometimes there may be kinks in the system
that those at the top in the ministry or in the regulatory body are not even aware of. And we may be the ones to bring it to their attention so they can work out kinks within their system. The same way sometimes they bring to our attention issues that are happening in private sector that they are aware of, and we have to take
finance, and it's just out of nowhere. That's a problem because I know that because I have my son in Liberia going to school. Okay, so how does the ministry handle that? Don't you have a capacity to go in and say, hey, your teachers are not qualified, your school is not this, shut down, something wrong there?
So, Mr. Howard, if I get it correctly, let me see that. So, take for instance, there are school systems across Liberia. So, for instance, the Maryland school system, the Barclay school system, the Catholic school system, the Assembly of God school system. Those school systems, they cannot be permitted individually as a school. The permit is given to them as an institution. So, for instance, the Maryland Church in Liberia will apply for a permit for all Maryland schools in the entire republic, and the permit will be given to the Marylands. So, even if the Marylands went and built a makeshift structure or build a very good structure, like I said, but then have poor qualities of teachers, we did not give the certificate to the individual to that school as a unit, but rather we gave it to the entire school system. And that school system now is doing injustice to the education system. So if you say we're allowing schools to run illegally, let me say the Ministry of Education we are challenged, and for which it is a fight. We have district educational officers. The district educational officers are meant to monitor all educational activities within that district in terms of school infrastructure, in terms of student enrollment, in terms of teachers, in terms of principals, in terms of administration. They run the entire school administration in that entire district. So we expect the district educational officer to go out and actually assess the schools, the teachers within his district and then report to the county education officer. The county education officer heads the entire county and then reports him to the Ministry of Education, we at Central Office. Now, there has been issues of logistics, on which I will say this on the platform because all Liberia. Most DOs have complained over time that because of the lack of logistics, they cannot move from one place to another, and because the government of Liberia is not providing them logistics, they cannot use their personal salary as transportation fare to get in one taxi from one place to another place to another place. So because of these and many more challenges, we realize that we are not actually getting the actual existing information within those districts for the Ministry of Education to act. So what the government came this week, the government has procured a total of 18 Land Cruiser Jeeps and 26 motorbikes. Now those Jeeps were being procured and assigned to the county education officer. So each county now in Liberia have a Land Cruiser Jeep that can be used. Each county now has a Land Cruiser Jeep that can be used to run and control and monitor and supervise education activities within those counties. So take for instance Mosowado County gathered 26 education districts. So the 26 educational district in Mosowado, the Ministry of Education through the government of Bureau provided 26 Yamaha motorbikes to be used by the 26 DOs to go across in a various districts to be able to actually assess the education system in those districts and then report to the county and the county report. But again, there are challenges, and most of these challenges come from the fact that we as Central Office are not receiving the actual information that we need to know from the ground. And take for instance, you made mention of school money. So you have the ability to shut down school. So the school is about to go to the school year is about to come to an end. If, for instance, we go to a school and this school is operating illegally, there are students within those schools. Should we shut the school down? What becomes of the students? Then the next available school cannot take all of those students because those schools are already far off in their semester and they are not enrolling any student. So most often times we allow those illegal schools to run for the year. As soon as the academic semester ends, then we shut the school down. But we cannot shut the school down in the middle of the semester when they have students. No, we can't do that.
Okay, I have a question. Because if we cannot shut it down, we should have let us start from the beginning, but I will not prolong it. I will let us go to other people, but I hope we realize that we on this thing here right
Hello?
now.
Can you guys hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
My hand's been up a long time.
I'm so sorry, okay? Okay, hold on, guys. Out of time. By 12:45, 12:50, we need to be back in the session. I know these questions are very, very pressing, right? We have to answer, as we're in, no. Let me go into, 1 second. If you raise $10 million today for your sector, what would it be for? See right now, what three things that Tony was talking about.
So can I come in now?
You're going in and out, man. You're going in and out.
All right, thank you very much. My name is Maxim Paikio. I'm sitting in here from Wales, United Kingdom. And I want to let you know, and the minister as well, I sit here, I represent the disabled community in Liberia because I was 2 years old when I suffered from polio, which gave me limited mobility due to my right leg being affected. Honorable Minister, thank you for being here. I am also a writer. I've written 2 textbooks for Liberia, elementary level, and your education ministry actually did qualify the books through the curriculum department. Unfortunately, up to now, I just returned from Liberia. They've been telling me to go and negotiate and sell my own books, which of course I didn't want it that way. I wanted the books to have been put in the school curriculum. Now I'm a Liberian, and I want to contribute into education. And nobody is picking me up, and nobody is actually putting me down. Honorable Minister as well, thank you for this, for coming to the platform. Like I said, as I represent the disabled community in Liberia, though I never went to university in Liberia, but I graduated from there. And only here I do my education. I did training in teaching, and I got my first degree in politics and international relations. But one thing I want to bring to your attention, Honorable Minister, is that the disabled students in Liberia, especially let me pick up the higher learning institution, the University of Liberia. You talk about education and inclusion, but there's huge discrimination there, and they are almost telling the disabled student not to attend there. The reason I'm saying this is that classes are being arranged upstairs where we don't have lifts, no escalators, but then the classes are arranged upstairs, and students in the wheelchairs are always forced to go upstairs for class. This is not fair, and I want to. I got evidence here that I want you to see, all of you. This is one of my colleagues in Liberia at the Fender campus. Her relative have to take her upstairs every time she goes for class, and there are many of them there. This is not fair. This is not inclusion. It is discrimination. Only she is so hungry for education, but she wouldn't have been there. Honorable Minister, I will be coming by in October, but I got 2 textbooks. One is on corruption. As I can show you here is it. Corruption, my enemy now, my enemy forever. That's the front there. And I wrote the first one is on police and policing and security for our children. When they're crossing roads, to how to avoid bad people. Everything is in the book there. I have not gotten any attention, despite the fact I have met current minister, Dr. Soni, even 2-3 times. Your curriculum the head of curriculum, Mrs. Musa, have not seen any way. How can you tell me that I should leave from here now to go back home and put my educational skills into use when nobody is picking me up? Thank you very much for this opportunity today, and I'm hope to be a part. I wrote a piece of paper during my early time, advancing way forward as to how we can advance the educational sector of Liberia and rebuild a system. And that paper, I even wrote this government the same paper again, but I haven't gotten any reply from them as well. But through this initiative now, from here today, myself will be able to share these particular people are wrote, I even call for us to get out of this WIAC system of testing and do our own testing. But I'm going to stop here because we do not have much time. Thank you very much for the opportunity.
Okay, so again, let me see the image just showing a side. I don't hope seeing that. But and I will say this, it's important that you do further research into this. The Ministry of Education has lost to some extent authority over higher education in this country. And the reason why it is so is because the government of Liberia went and established the National Commission on Higher Education. The National Commission on Higher Education has the right to monitor, supervise, and create policies for all higher education in this country. The Ministry of Education is a member on the board of higher education. So higher education has its own entity that controls it, that monitors it, and that develops policies for its students. And so we in terms of inclusiveness, in terms of discrimination against people with disability in higher education, I'm not from the Commission on Higher Education. I cannot speak to why it's been allowed in institution of higher education in this country. And I think a member of the Commission on Higher Education has answered that question, but I can't say anything further. But in terms of your books, you see, you wrote a book and you brought it, and it was approved by the Ministry of Education. We cannot go ahead to publish or sell your book. We cannot make your book compulsory that all students should buy. And we cannot do that. And I should say this, and I should say it very clearly without mixing my words. You wrote your book, you have the copyright to your book. You did not waive your copyright to the Ministry of Education and say, take this book and print it free for students and see if we will not pick it up. But if you buy a book,
I did.
So even if I have not seen the document, and Mrs. Menza has resigned, she's no longer the director of curriculum. I think she left the beginning part of this year. So because of that, we have not seen the document where all your copyrights were waived. If the copyright on the book were waived, it becomes a ministry responsibility and they print those books. But take for instance, even the civics books are taken to schools. Those civics books have been printed by partners because we ourselves cannot afford to print all the books. And we cannot afford to print all the books for students in this country. We cannot afford to print them because of the cost of printing and the kinds of books and the number of books to be printed. And so not that we deliberately refuse, but I just because of some capacity issue.
Okay.
In regards to that.
Minister Tom, I'm sorry.
Am I hearing, please?
Okay, I'm sorry. I don't mean to cut you off, but we have to keep going. And you've asked a couple of questions already. I know you have an important question that's on your heart that's burning, but we won't be able to take that question just now. Can we let Mr. Emmanuel ask?
Sorry, I don't have a question. I just don't know how to put the raise my hand down. So what is so there? So
just do 1 minute, and we've got to get the 2 questions answered. We're out of this session.
Yeah. Well, quickly. The minister he spoke about.
We are Liberia. Liberia is our home. Liberia people. Liberia.